The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351 Western Fantasy 16. Julia and Garfield were beaten by Nora. Julia summoned the skeletons to save her life. However, Nora is no longer afraid now, and she calmly deals with these skeletons. However, after learning from Su Qingni that the souls in the skeletons were forcibly summoned by the necromancer to fight, and the skeletons were scattered, these souls could not return to the habitat of the dead, and their souls would be scattered. Nora learns spells against these skeletons from Su Qingni, which can send the dead back to their habitats to rest again. Her own undead spells are useless, and her strength level is lower than Nora. She wants to buy props to deal with Nora, but she finds that her points are not enough. Before the Ackerman family, Julia used tens of thousands of points on her body to exchange for the natural materials and treasures that helped her and Garfield improve. Now her points are less than 4 digits. Julia's teeth are about to break. Is Nora Ackerman really her nemesis? After being hit by Nora's magic, Julia was seriously injured and vomited blood. She was scared. For the first time, Julia felt death was so close to her. Nora Ackerman could really kill her. She didn't want to die. Julia, who had died once, was even more afraid of death. In her previous life, she was able to travel through time after death, but who knew if she would travel through time after death now? She didn't dare to gamble. Julia exchanged all the remaining bonus points for the scroll for escape, tore up the scroll, and fled with Garfield. The two of them left, and the people who stayed behind were unlucky. A small part died, and although the rest escaped, they were all injured. Many of the injuries caused considerable damage to their body meridians. Even after the injuries healed, they could no longer use all the magic, and became ordinary people. These were deliberately made by the Ackerman family. They would not kill more people, so they used this way of attack, which could not only save the opponent's life but also prevent him from threatening their own family after recovery. In this battle, the royal family and the Alworth family were defeated. Gabriel was injured, and it was Edric who hurt him at the cost of his own injury. After that, Gabriel and Edric had to recuperate for 200 to 300 years before they could completely recover from their injuries. All 5 saint-level masters were useless, and Natasha did not take their lives. The rest of the masters died, but not many were injured. After recovering from their injuries, they could only become ordinary people. More than half of the backbone forces of the two families were consumed, and their strength plummeted. Seeing them like this, other families were all ready to move. Before, those families also knew from various channels that the Ovis family and the royal family were going to take action against the Ackerman family. They planned to follow the two families, eat meat, and they drank soup, and divide the power and resources of the Ackerman family. Now the Ovis family and the royal family have failed and have been hit hard by the Ackerman family. These families were shocked and dare not covet the Ackerman family anymore, but turned their attention to the other two families whose strength had been greatly reduced. The royal family still has a god-level master sitting in charge. Although he was injured, he was still able to suppress the upgraded masters. These families did not dare to attack the royal family, and all of them targeted the Alworth family. When Garfield and Julia returned to Kyoto from the random teleportation place, the Alworth family no longer existed. Garfield was furious and wanted to rush into the Ackerman family to fight, but was caught by Julia. The two entered the palace and settled down temporarily. The royal family could not prevent the Alworth family from being destroyed, but some talents of the Alworth family were saved by the royal family. These are all talents. They have no family to be loyal to. The royal family absorbs them, and they can only be loyal to the royal family in the future. Garfield is half a royal family, and a genius among geniuses. Julia is as good as him. The royal family will naturally not push them away, but will only try harder to win them over and treat them well. However, a rumor changed the royal family's attitude towards Julia. How could Nora let go of someone who always wanted to kill her? She did not expect Julia to have such a means of escape, so she let Julia and Garfield escape. She would never give Julia another chance to rise. She would make all forces stop protecting Julia. Nora released the news that Julia was a necromancer and elaborated on what a necromancer was. When the three families were fighting, other families sent people to spy secretly, so many people saw Julia summoning skeletons. Although everyone felt that the magic of summoning skeletons was a bit evil at the time, they didn't care too much. Now that they have heard about the necromancer and what his magic is, everyone is disgusted with the necromancer. Even those bad guys don't want their souls to be disturbed after death, and they will be forced to be driven by others and their souls will be scattered. Many self-proclaimed righteous people ran to the gate of the palace to attack Julia. The royal family felt that it was not worth the loss to protect Julia anymore, so they simply put those righteous people into the palace and followed them to attack Julia. Seeing that the situation was not good, Julia hurriedly took Garfield away. Following them, there were also many outstanding children from the family. These children were carefully cultivated by each family, but they all followed Niangniang. This made the heads of each family even more angry. Niangniang already had a fiancé, Garfield, and she seduced the descendants of their family. It was to the abominable that Garfield was also a coward, and he actually let the grass grow on his head. No one could figure out why Niangniang had such great charm that those young geniuses abandoned their families and followed her. Even now, there are still many men and women in the academy who speak well of Niangniang. Everyone couldn't help but be tempted. Is Niangniang really a good person? Did they blame Niangniang wrongly? How could Nora let Niangniang clear her name? She said, Niangniang has a kind of artifact that can not only help her practice, but also control people's hearts. Niangniang deliberately pleases someone and gives the small props produced by the artifact to those she wants to please. The props were very inconspicuous, they could be handkerchiefs, some decorations, or jewelry. As long as those people accepted these props, they would be controlled by the artifact and would have a good impression of Niangniang. After hearing this, the relatives and friends of those who had a good impression of Niangniang, whether they believed it or not, replaced the residences and belongings of their descendants who had a good impression of Niangniang with new ones. They couldn't tell which ones were the props that controlled people's hearts, so they simply burned all the belongings of those who had a good impression of them. Not to mention, after the props were burned, the effect of the props also disappeared. Chapter 352, Western Fantasy 17. The effect of the small props disappeared, and the good impression they brought to Niangniang also disappeared. These people returned to their normal views of Niangniang, and they all hated and resented Niangniang. Whoever was manipulated would want to kill the person who manipulated them. So these people and the forces behind them joined the ranks of hunting down Niangniang. And their reaction confirmed Niangniang's ability to manipulate people's hearts. This ability violated the taboos of the upper class. So, more people and forces wanted to kill Niangniang. Among them, the ones who wanted to kill her the most were the family and friends of her followers. Knowing that as long as the small props given by Niangniang were destroyed, people could return to normal. These families sent people to find their descendants while destroying everything left by these people. They hoped that one or two of the props were sent by Niangniang to confuse people. After burning them, their descendants would reduce their good impression of Niangniang and return to the family. Not to mention, there were small props that improved good impressions among the things left by these people. Although the small props were very small, they were carried with them. But the holders do not necessarily carry those props all the time. Don't wash the dirty handkerchief? It's better to put the decorations in your room. So, when these small props were destroyed, one or two of those who followed Niangniang returned to normal, and the favorability of 2 or 3 others also decreased a lot. Those who returned to normal hated Niangniang, but they were not stupid. They knew that their favorability towards Niangniang should be manipulated, and being able to manipulate people's hearts showed how powerful Niangniang's methods were. In addition, she was powerful, both a sky warrior and a great magician, and he was not an opponent at all. Therefore, he could not show his disgust for her, and pretended to be still deceived by her, looking for opportunities to escape from Niangniang. Niangniang was also conceited, thinking that the people whose favorability reached 100 that she conquered would not reduce their favorability, and would not travel through the manipulation of the game system. After the favorability of those who could be pleased by her reached 100, she would no longer pay attention to that person's favorability towards her, so she did not find that these people's favorability towards her dropped sharply. Because they didn't find out, the 2 people who recovered had the opportunity to leave. They also took away those who only reduced their favorability and still had a good impression of Niangniang. These people were deceived by them. They felt sorry for those who had not fully recovered. After taking them away from Niangniang, they contacted their families. Their families rushed over immediately, searched for the small props on these people, and burned them all. These people also returned to normal. After the people who returned to normal knew how they were manipulated, they felt very sympathetic to those who had not yet returned to normal. They deceived all of them and asked their family members to help them burn the small props and return to normal. After all the followers returned to normal, including their families, they surrounded the place where Qiao and Garfield were hiding. Everyone wanted Qiao to die. When Qiao saw that the original followers had no good feelings and love for her and were full of resentment, she was shocked to find that except for Garfield, the favorability of everyone else in the friend list had been cleared. This was a huge blow to Qiao. After crossing over, she had the help of the Golden Finger, and she had been smooth sailing. She only suffered a loss when facing Nora. But now, even the followers who had never left her abandoned her. She couldn't help but wonder if there was a malfunction in the game system. If the game system really malfunctioned, she would have no one to rely on in this world. Can she still be reckless? Can she survive in this dangerous world? The people who came to surround and kill Qiao naturally didn't kill anyone. Qiao took Garfield and escaped with the points accumulated in these days. She bought another escape scroll and escaped. She was teleported away in front of everyone. There are no teleportation scrolls or teleportation arrays in this world. Even space magic is very superficial magic, and there is no teleportation. Qiao disappeared in front of many people, which further confirmed that she had a powerful artifact. Those who didn't believe in this rumor couldn't sit still. Who doesn't want to get the artifact? For a while, the whole world was in turmoil, looking for Qiao and Garfield. But these two people disappeared, and no one could find them, not even the god-level strongmen could find them. Nora was very depressed because she couldn't find anyone. How could she take revenge? She heard that even the god-level masters couldn't find Qiao and Garfield. She always regarded Su Qingni as a god-level master. Naturally, Nora didn't think that Su Qingni could know where Qiao and Garfield were hiding, so she didn't ask Su Qingni. If she asked, Su Qingni would definitely tell her. These two people used the disguise props in the game to change their appearance and hide in Gross City, and often went to Gazdam Forest to improve their strength. After Qiao found that there was no problem with the game system, she devoted herself to practice. She wanted revenge and wanted to kill all those who betrayed her and were her enemies. She must have strong strength. God-level masters are not her goal. Surpassing God-level masters is her goal. The reason why she went to Gazdam Forest again was not only because there were powerful monsters for her and Garfield to fight and practice, but also because Qiao knew from the information provided by the game system that there was a passage to the land of the dead in Gazdam Forest. Qiao wanted to practice necromancy, which was very difficult in human society, so she decided to go to the land of the dead. There she would practice necromancy to the highest level. At that time, she would lead thousands of undead armies to attack the human world, kill her enemies, control the entire continent, and become the supreme ruler of the continent, the queen. Su Qingni only knew that Qiao went to the Gazdam Forest, and didn't know what her ultimate goal was. If she knew, she would let Nora hurry up and follow. Where is the extreme Yin land? Isn't it the place that connects to the land of the dead? Unfortunately, the passage was hidden too well, and it was hidden by the laws of this world. Su Qingni and Qiao went to the Gazdam Forest once, but they didn't find it because of the laws of this world. How did the game system find it? Of course, it didn't find it either, but when collecting information about this world, it found clues in the information and drew conclusions. Nora couldn't find Qiao, so she could only put her mind back and put it on practice and experience. She was ready and was about to set out again to experience. Chapter 353, Western Fantasy 18. Nora set out with Natasha. The two flew slowly during the day, and at night, Natasha turned into her original form and flew with Nora. Nora experienced firsthand how fast the dragon was. She originally planned to travel through the human territory on the continent in 20 years, but it only took 2 years for Nora to travel through the human territory. There's more than one country in the human territory, and Garfield is not the only super genius. Nora has seen many geniuses, some of whom have very good personalities, and Nora has become friends with them. Nora continued to go west, and she has now left the human territory. In addition to humans, there are other races in this world, and each race has its own territory. Generally speaking, there is no intersection between races. It is said that the gods set up barriers between the territories of various races. Only those with good intentions and peace in their hearts have the hope of passing through the barriers, and this hope is also very small. Only 1 out of 10 people has this hope. Nora is sure that she is kind and peaceful, but she is not sure if she has this hope. She stood in front of the barrier, slowly stretched out her right hand, raised her palm, gently pressed it against the transparent barrier, and pressed it gently. The palm passed through the barrier. Very good. Nora smiled and happily passed through the barrier. Su Qingni, who helped her pass through the barrier, was famous for her merits. The power she could use in this world was equal to the gods in this world, and it was easy for her to lead a human through the barrier set up by the gods. Natasha also passed through the barrier. She was certainly a hopeful person. Otherwise, how could she come to the mainland from Dragon Island? To the west is a mountainous area where dwarves live. The dwarves are good at casting objects, and their casting method is very unique, which is very different from the refining technique. Su Qingni was somewhat interested in the dwarves' casting method, and absorbed the essence of it when visiting the dwarves. In order to repay the dwarves, Su Qingni asked Nora to teach the dwarves how to make storage bags. Every once in a while, the dwarves would take their forged weapons and tools to the barrier to exchange with people of other races. The barrier prevented people of all races from passing through, but did not prevent items from passing through. The dwarves learned how to make storage bags and could sell them to people of other races. In the future, people of other races will also be able to use storage bags, and Nora and Natasha will no longer have to use them secretly. Nora and Natasha stayed with the dwarves for a month and then left. They did not return to the human territory, but followed a barrier and came to the outside of a forest. This forest is different from the Gazdam forest. This forest looks very beautiful and gives people a sense of peace. This forest is the territory where the elves live. Crossing the barrier, Nora and Natasha saw beautiful elves. As described in the book, the elves are very beautiful. Both men and women are so delicate. However, are the people living outside the elf forest also elves? Although they are also very beautiful, why don't they have long ears like elves? There were not many people among these people, only 11 or 12, and Nora and Natasha knew their identities. It turned out that these dozen people were not elves, but half-elves. They were children born from elves and people of other races. Elves are good-looking and passionate. Their appearance makes people they like them, and some people will give birth to children with them. These children are half-elves. The lifespan of elves is longer than that of other races. Well, like the dragon race, they are a long-lived race. They are passionate, but not long-lasting. In fact, they can be considered long-lasting. Loving someone for hundreds of years should be considered long-lasting, right? After a long time together, the elves' original love and passion for their other half disappear, and they will leave the other half. Or the other half has reached the end of his life and died. The elves leave their partners, but they cannot abandon the children born to them by their partners. After all, the children have the blood of the elves. They can only take the children to the elf territory. However, these children are not pure elves, and are not allowed to live in the elf forest. They can only live outside the elf forest. Fortunately, there are not many foreigners who can pass through the barrier, and there are not many half-elves. After tens of thousands of years, there are less than 20 half-elves. There are only 11 or 12 half-elves still alive. Half-elves inherit the beauty and longevity of elves. However, because of their impure blood, their lifespan is only half of that of elves. But if they work hard to practice and improve their strength level, their lifespan will increase with the level, and they can have the average lifespan of ordinary elves. The elves warmly entertained Nora and Natasha. The fact that they can pass through the barrier proves that they are kind-hearted and have no intention of harming the elves, so the elves will naturally welcome them. However, not everyone can enter the elf forest if they want to. Only elves can live there. Even if they welcome the two, the range of their activities is only outside the forest, the activity area of the half-elves. The two live in a house built by the half-elves. Nora has more contact with the half-elves, and when she leaves the elf territory, she has a companion by her side. The male half-elf named Leobert who also wants to go out for training. Leobert is already 500 years old. For humans, this age is already an old grandfather, but for half-elves, it is just an adult. And if it is an elf, 500 years old is still a little guy. Leobert's eyes on Nora are very passionate. Both Su Qingni and Natasha can see that this guy likes Nora. Nora naturally saw it, but she was worried about whether to accept Leobert. Leobert is good-looking, and his appearance is exactly what Nora likes. It would be a lie to say that she is not tempted. But she heard that elves are passionate and will not always be devoted to their partners. When the feelings fade, they will leave their partners and look for other lovers. This makes Nora a little unacceptable. She is afraid that Leobert is as passionate and ruthless as his elf mother. Leobert likes her now, and she accepts it. What should she do when he doesn't like her anymore? Su Qingni heard Nora's annoying story and asked Nora, "Are you sure that you can love someone for a long time?" Nora thought about it carefully and found that she was not sure. It's hard to say about feelings. Just like she liked Garfield, her fiancé, at first, but when she found out he was having an affair with Julia, didn't she immediately withdraw her feelings? She couldn't guarantee feelings. Maybe she would have no feelings for him before Leobert changed his mind. After all, her lifespan had become very long. Chapter 354, Western Fantasy 19. Su Qingni said, "Relationships need to be managed. Relationships that are not managed will disappear easily." Nora lowered her eyes and thought. The next day, Nora accepted Leobert. Lady Qingni was right. Relationships need to be managed. If she manages them well, she will not let the feelings between the two fade and Leobert change his mind. Taking a step back, even if Leobert changes his mind, it doesn't matter. At most, she can find another lover. She has the appearance and strength, so how can she not find a better lover than Leobert? Of course, this is the worst step. She doesn't want to go to this step. Nora asked Su Qingni for many ways to manage relationships. Although Su Qingni had never been in love, she had a lot of experience and theoretical knowledge. She told Nora everything and gave her many examples. Nora absorbed and digested this knowledge, found the same couple's mode of getting along as her and Leobert from the examples, learned from experience, and determined how to get along with Leobert in the future. With the help of these experiences, Nora handled her relationship with Leobert very well, and Leobert loved Nora more and more every day. It was not the kind of love that was passionate but superficial at the beginning, but the deep love that had penetrated into the heart and was engraved into the bone marrow. Nora looked at these changes and became more confident in this relationship. She believed that Leobert would not change his mind easily like other elves. Of course, Leobert gave her deep love, so she naturally had to return the same love. Sincerity can only be exchanged for sincerity. Su Qingni and Natasha had eaten enough dog food along the way. Looking at the intimate interaction between Nora and Leobert, Natasha couldn't help but think of the male dragon Daryl who was her childhood sweetheart. After leaving the giant's territory, Natasha turned into a dragon and took Nora and Leobert to fly directly to the direction of Dragon Island. After flying half the distance and seeing the sea below, Nora and Leobert knew that the next destination Natasha was going to take them to was Dragon Island. The two. Okay. Natasha missed home, they understood. The dragons don't like outsiders to enter their territory, but because Nora and Leobert were brought by Natasha, the dragons didn't expel them, but they weren't enthusiastic about them. When Nora arrived at Dragon Island, she realized that Natasha's identity was not simple. She was the daughter of the dragon clan leader, and the only daughter. The fertility rate of the dragon clan was very low, and only 2 new generations were born a few years ago. After Natasha ran away from the dragon clan, the clan leader was very worried about her, but unfortunately because of the barrier, the clan leader couldn't go to the mainland to find his daughter. His daughter hadn't come back for thousands of years, and the old father, the clan leader, was already worried. Now that Natasha has returned, the clan leader heard about her experience and was very grateful to Nora. He gave Nora and Leobert a lot of treasures as a thank you. Nora accepted it very readily. She knew that this thank you gift was not only because she brought Natasha out of the Gazdam forest and allowed Natasha to return to Dragon Island, but also because of the equal contract she taught Natasha. According to the records of the mainland, when the demons invaded the mainland, people of all races would join the war. Some dragon knights would appear among humans. After making a contract with a dragon, they would fight together and their combat power would increase several times. It was precisely because of this increased combat power that the dragons had to sign a contract with the dragon knights. Although after the battle, both parties returned to their own territories, and the contract had less impact on both parties. But as the enslaved party in the contract, the proud dragons were still very dissatisfied. This is also the main reason why the dragons did not welcome humans to Dragon Island. Now that there is an equal contract, the dragons will not be inferior to the dragon knights. This is a great thing for the dragons, the best great thing. The dragon chief gave Nora these treasures as a thank you gift, which was actually very light. But Nora didn't care. She learned the sequel contract from Su Qingni, and the person that the dragon's Niangniang wanted to thank was actually Su Qingni. After staying in the dragon clan for a month, when Nora left, there was another person around her. No, it was a dragon. The dragon is Natasha's childhood sweetheart Dirol. After Natasha came back this time, Dirol and Natasha expressed their feelings to each other. This time Natasha will travel with Nora, so Dirol will naturally follow. The two couples are sweet and happy. Natasha is finally no longer a light bulb and is fed dog food. All the dog food was fed to Su Qingni. While eating dog food, Su Qingni thought of someone, and then she thought of the smart butler she made. Should she release the smart butler? Forget it, she is now attached to Nora's body. Should she release the smart butler to serve Nora? She will be jealous of the smart butler with that face serving another woman. What if she can't bear and control the power and destroys the world? Although she found the fragments of the true spirit of the ancestor witches, the dragon clan leader had the true spirit fragment of Zhu Jiuyan, the elf queen had the true spirit fragment of Zhu Mang, the dwarf clan leader had the true spirit fragment of Rushao, the giant clan leader had the true spirit fragment of Yuzi, and Nora's grandfather Edric had the true spirit fragment of Gongguang. There are many fragments of the true spirit of the ancestor witches in this world. They are all still alive, and Su Qingni cannot take the fragments from them. If this world is destroyed, these fragments will also be destroyed. Then the Queen Pingxin will have to settle accounts with her. As soon as the four people returned to the mainland, Su Qingni felt a very strong yin energy. Extreme yin land. Su Qingni immediately urged Nora to go in a certain direction. She felt something was wrong. She had traveled on the mainland for many years before and had not found the extreme yin land. How could she feel the extreme yin land as soon as she came back? Moreover, although the extreme yin land gathers yin energy, it will not emit all the yin energy at once. It seems that there must be something wrong with the extreme yin land in this world. Su Qingni urged the four people to hurry over, even exposing herself to Natasha and the other two. Fortunately, the three people were all good kids. Although they were surprised to know about Su Qingni's existence, they accepted it calmly and vowed to keep the secret for Nora. Su Qingni asked Natasha and Dirol to transform into dragons and fly over with Nora and Leobert. But it's too high profile. Nora said, won't this let people know that a giant dragon appeared on the continent and let people attack Natasha and Dirol? Don't worry, no one will see it. Su Qingni took out the invisibility charm and invisibility charm that she had drawn when she was practicing and distributed them to the four people. 10 for each person, enough for them to use. After affixing the invisibility charm and invisibility charm, Natasha and Dirol led the others to fly to the extremely yin land. Then, Su Qingni saw a familiar scene. Chapter 355, Western Fantasy 20. The extremely yin land is actually in the Gazdam forest? Su Qingni was depressed. If she had been able to investigate carefully the last time she followed Nora to the Gazdam forest, wouldn't she have found the extremely yin land long ago? Depressed, too depressed. Don't be so careless in the future. Following the yin energy, several people found the extremely yin land. Borrow your body for a while. Su Qingni asked Nora, and after getting her consent, she took control of Nora's body. Su Qingni walked to the place where the yin energy was most concentrated and took a closer look, and finally made her understand why the extremely yin land was abnormal. This extremely yin land is actually a passage connecting the world of the dead, so the yin energy is so strong. She didn't find it before, in addition to not carefully exploring it, but also because the laws of this world covered this extremely yin land, in order to prevent the passage from being opened by people, connecting the world of the dead and the world of the living, causing chaos in both worlds. The reason why the yin energy is now so far away that she can detect it is because the passage has been opened and entered the world of the dead. Su Qingni thought she knew who opened the passage. There was no one else except Qiao Linaya. Qiao Linaya must have gone to the world of the dead to practice in order to improve her necromancy. As for the passages to the other worlds, it must have been opened by her game system. After figuring it out, Su Qingni snorted coldly and used the rules of this world to close the passages between the two worlds. Too much yin qi had already caused a certain impact on the Gazdam forest. The monsters began to go crazy, and some plants were also corroded and died by the yin qi. If it is not closed, the monsters in the forest will definitely run out of the forest to attack human cities, which will also have an impact on human society. After closing the passage, in order to prevent Qiao Liai's system from opening the passage for her again and releasing a large amount of yin qi, Su Qingni used her own spells to add a layer of protection to the seal of the passage. With her powerful strength, the game system will never break this layer of protection. Humph, if the passage cannot be opened, Qiao Liai and Garfield will not be able to return to the world of the living, and can only stay in the world of the dead. It is not a place where the living can stay for a long time. Dead air and yin energy will corrode the bodies of the living and eventually transform them into undead. Even if Julia is a necromancer, it is useless. Necromancer magic will give her the ability to control undead creatures, but she cannot maintain the vitality in her body. She will be transformed twice as slowly as others, but she will eventually be transformed into an undead creature. At this time, Julia, who has already raised her strength to the level of a magic saint, is very proud to take Garfield back to the world of the living. After returning, she will start to take revenge. Her enemies should clean their necks and wait. She will definitely treat them well. Garfield is also very proud. Julia is like a fish in water in the world of the undead. Killing monsters, those poor undead, will give her experience and points. Julia will exchange all the points she gets for natural treasures that can improve her strength. After eating these natural treasures, Garfield's strength has also risen rapidly, and now he is also at the level of the magic saint. He also fantasizes about returning to the world of the living to slap his enemies in the face. The first person to be beaten is Nora Ackerman. This time, he wanted to humiliate Nora Ackerman. Unfortunately, when the two came to the passage, they found that the passage was closed. The most terrifying thing is that the game system can no longer open the passage. In other words, they can't go back to the world of the living. What will be the ending of the living in the world of the dead? Even if Julia and Garfield don't know, they can think of it a little bit. Moreover, before coming to the world of the dead, the game system had explained to Julia what kind of situation the living would encounter in the world of the dead, so that Julia spent a lot of money to buy protective props in the game mall to prevent the yin qi from entering the body. But the protective gear has a lasting power. When the lasting power is exhausted, they can only let the yin qi enter their bodies and erode them. Julia was terrified. She had already thought of the result of not being able to return to the world of the living. She kept calling the system in her heart, asking the system to open the game channel quickly. Unfortunately, the system had no way. Julia couldn't help but despair. All the previous complacency was gone, only deep despair and unwillingness. Isn't she a traverser? Or a time traveler with a golden finger? She should be the lucky child of this world, the one favored by heaven, right? Why is she so miserable? Shouldn't she be able to turn disaster into good fortune? Why is she in danger now but even the golden finger doesn't work? Is the world playing a trick on her? Qiao Liai was blue and thin, like a mushroom. And Garfield was equally desperate. He sat aside with a pale face, and the look he gave Qiao Liai was full of resentment. Under despair, some of the good feelings formed by the system control dissipated. Why did Garfield hook up with Qiao Liai so quickly before? In addition to his own good feelings for Qiao Liai, there was also the effect of the confusing props Qiao Liai gave her. After the two were together, the system also connected with Garfield through Qiao Liai, and the effect of the props was even stronger. This is also an important reason why other confused people regretted and returned to normal after the props were burned, while Garfield was still obsessed with Qiao Liai. However, when people are in absolute fear and despair, their emotions fluctuate greatly, and those confused emotions naturally disappear. Garfield regained his initial liking for Julia, but this liking was very fragile and easily replaced by other emotions. Now Garfield is more annoyed with Julia, annoyed that she controls him, annoyed that she turned him from a glorious heir to a street rat, annoyed that she put him in this deadly situation. Garfield regretted it. If he had not developed an unusual feeling for Julia at the beginning, he would not have given Julia an opportunity to take advantage of him, he would not have broken off his engagement with Nora Ackerman, and the Alworth family would not have easily taken action against the Ackerman family and would not have been destroyed because of it. Then he now has the support of his family and an excellent fiancé. As a son-in-law, he might be able to benefit from the treasures of the Ackerman family. Unfortunately, now everything is gone. Staring at Julia's profile, Garfield felt murderous. However, he knew that Julia had a trump card, and before he found out what the trump card was, he would not do anything to Julia. He also wanted to rely on Julia's trump card to live longer in this world of the dead, and he wanted to continue to be Julia's good lover. Chapter 356, Western Fantasy 21. Su Qingni buried the nether stone and returned the body to Nora. Seeing Nora come back, the three friends were relieved. In order to prevent the three friends from being nervous again, and the mission to this world was considered completed, Su Qingni never appeared in front of them again. The two couples continue their journey. At this time, as the big backlash of the whole world, the demons still had to jump out and make a few bubbles. In order to avoid that this quick-through plot was over, they had never shown their faces. The demons began to attack the continent. They were the enemy of all races on the continent. At this time, the barrier between the territories of each race disappeared, and all races fought together to fight against the demons. The dragons were the happiest, and they took out the equal contract. This made some people who were qualified to become dragon knights feel a little uncomfortable. Although these people had good morals, otherwise the dragons would not recognize them as dragon knights, but everyone still had selfish intentions. In the previous contracts, they were the masters and could control the dragons to help them do some beneficial things, mostly private matters. But now the two parties are equal. If they ask the dragons to help them do private things, the dragons will definitely not agree. In the depression of the Dragon Knight, the war started. Nora and the other four participated in the war and led the way. Nora rode Natasha, and Leobert rode Daria. The combined combat power of the four people could stop a team of demon elites. Their strength made others admire. When the young people in the same country saw that Nora was so powerful, they thought of Garfield and Julia. Regardless of the character of Garfield and Julia, these three people with entanglements are really geniuses among geniuses. They have both strength and luck, which makes others look up to them. Are people of equal excellence bound to be entangled together? This war lasted for 8 years. Nora fought to support herself and used fighting to improve her strength. After the war, she successfully entered the ranks of the great magician, which shocked others again. Nora became the brightest star on the continent and an idol in the minds of young people. After the war, the demons were driven back to their territory, and the barriers between the territories of various races rose again, as if someone was operating it. Su Qingni became interested in the gods of this world. When she leaves this world, she must visit the land of the gods. After the war, Nora and Leobert held a wedding. After the wedding, the two did not stay in the Ackerman family for long, nor in the land of the elves. They continued to travel the continent. They have become accustomed to this kind of life of becoming stronger during travel. But this time Natasha and Daryl did not follow them. After the war, the two were taken back to Dragon Island by the patriarch of the Dragon Clan. Their identities have been exposed, and it is not suitable for Nora and the others to stay with them. Who knows if someone will take advantage of them? Without a united enemy, the various races may calculate against each other. Nora and Leobert have been together all the time. Their lives are very long, and their feelings are equally long. Nora carefully manages the relationship between the two, and Leobert also learns to manage it together. Their feelings have always been fresh, and no one will suddenly get tired of each other or suddenly have no feelings. They have been in love for tens of thousands of years, and finally both left this world. Their love is envied by everyone, and is sung by bards to every corner of the world and passed down to future generations. The elves were curious about why Leobert had always been with Nora, and did not change lovers every few hundred years like other half-elves and elves. Leobert told them to manage their feelings carefully, and the elves tried to do as he said. Then, the elves and half-elves changed lovers less frequently. There were also examples of elves who were together for life. Since then, elves are no longer synonymous with fickleness. Su Qingni left Nora's body as soon as Nora and Leobert's wedding was over. That's why Nora married Leobert, otherwise how could she be intimate with her husband with another soul always around her? Su Qingni returned to her body and went to the gods of this world. In the gods, she found the sleeping gods. The strength of these gods is only equivalent to the level of Niangniang Pingxin in the Eastern immortal system. Therefore, after working together to open up the world, their mana was almost exhausted. They originally wanted to obtain faith from the creatures in creation to replenish their energy, but if the faith is not pure, it will not only not help them much, but may also cause slight harm. Finally, the gods cut off the connection with the various races in the lower world and fell into deep sleep, using sleep to slowly restore their strength. However, the effect was not significant. As for the barriers between the various races, they were set up before the gods fell asleep. Su Qingni awakened these gods and asked them if they were willing to go to other worlds. Other worlds have the power to restore their strength, So how could these gods not be willing? So, Su Qingni kidnapped a group of gods from other worlds and returned to the Lich world. The netherworld is connected to this world, and the goddess Pingxin is very happy. She found several pieces of the true spirit fragments of the ancestor witch. In her happiness, she showed mercy to some people. Qiao Liaya, who should have been shattered, was thrown into the 18 layers of hell and sentenced for 1,000,000 years. Don't say that the punishment for Qiao Liaya is too severe. In fact, it is very light. In the world of the dead, Qiao Liaya killed countless undead in order to level up and get points from the game system to exchange for props to protect her body with yin qi. Thousands or even hundreds of thousands of undead were beaten to death by Qiao Liaya. Even with such sins, it would take hundreds of years to burn away the sins on her body. With such sins, the Queen Mother Pingxin did not let Qiao Liaya die. It was really a mercy of the Queen Mother Pingxin. The game system on Qiao Liaya was stripped by the Queen Mother Pingxin and crushed directly with 2 fingers. This system is the real culprit that caused many undead to dissipate. Its sins are no less than Qiao Liaya's. As for Garfield, he completely became an undead a few years ago. The more Qiao Liaya killed the undead, the less points and experience she got. The points could barely be exchanged for protective props for her use alone. No matter how much Garfield showed his deep love for her, in the face of life and love, she would only choose life. As Qiao Liaya's accomplice, Garfield also entered the 18 levels of hell to experience it. But it only lasted for 100 years. After 100 years, all sins were washed away, and after drinking mengpo soup, the soul that was like a newborn was allowed to reincarnate. At this time, Su Qingni had already traveled to another world. Chapter 357, Yi Xiao Teohua's biological father. This time, Su Qingni possessed a child of 4 or 5 years old. The child took his last breath before Su Qingni possessed him, and his soul left his body. Su Qingni felt sorry for the little child, injected a trace of golden light of merit into his soul, and sent him into the projection of the underworld in this world, waiting in line for reincarnation. Su Qingni took out a pill from the storage bag and stuffed it into the mouth of the body to nourish the body. This world is only slightly worse than the previous world. There are many souls that can enter, and many things that can be smuggled in. The body was nourished by the medicine, and Su Qingni opened her eyes. The crying young woman next to her saw her open her eyes, and immediately reached out and hugged Su Qingni in her arms, crying and laughing and said, "Here, you finally woke up. You finally woke up." Su Qingni stretched out her little hand and patted the woman's arm, and whispered, "Mom, I'm hungry and want to eat." Okay, wait, Mom will go to help you with a meal right away." After that, the woman put Su Qingni down, stood up and wanted to rush out of the door. But her health was not good either. She stood up too hard and felt dizzy. She swayed and fell forward. Su Qingni quickly jumped up to support the woman, but unfortunately she had just possessed the body not long ago and had not yet exercised her current body. Her small body was weak and had little strength. Not only did she fail to support the young woman, but she was pressed down by the lady. Su Qingni sighed. What a sin. She quickly took out another pill and stuffed it into the young woman's mouth. The pill melted in her mouth and turned into energy to enter the young woman's body, repairing her body and replenishing her vitality damaged by the evil spirit. Yes, the original body and the original body's biological mother, that is, this young woman Liu Rulan, were harmed by the evil spirit. The instigator was the original body's biological father Song Mingxuan. Although Song Mingxuan did not mean to do it, he did not know that his temporary kindness and desire to add fragrance to his sleeves would harm his wife and only son. Song Mingxuan was a scholar from a poor family. His family was poor, but he was very smart. When he was a child, he eavesdropped on the teacher's lecture outside the private school and actually learned the whole 3-character classic. The teacher who taught the class was Liu Rulan's father, the only scholar in the village. Liu Zuke saw that Song Mingxuan was smart and hardworking, and he admired him very much. He not only accepted Song Mingxuan as a student, but also betrothed his daughter to Song Mingxuan as his wife. Song Mingxuan did not live up to Liu Zuke's teachings and expectations. He passed the examination for a scholar at the age of 18 and became a juror at the age of 21. After he became successful, he did not forget his roots. He not only respected Liu Zuke, his enlightenment mentor, but also treated his wife Liu Rulan very well. The two were also in love. Song Mingxun rejected all the actions of others who wanted to send beautiful women to him, so that everyone knew that Song Mingxun was an upright person who did not like women. Song Mingxun was indeed upright. He advocated Confucian etiquette and would never do anything that was not in accordance with etiquette. He would only do things according to etiquette. In this world, men have rules for taking concubines. Officials above the 7th rank can take 1 concubine, those above the 5th rank can take 2 concubines, and those above the 3rd rank can take 3 concubines. Although men in this world will exploit loopholes and not take concubines, but only keep more maids around them, Song Mingxun will never do such a thing to exploit the loopholes in the court law. He is just a jurin, so naturally he will not take a concubine. But if he becomes an official, it is hard to say whether he will take a concubine. After all, how can a man not like a beautiful woman? Just like the Song family now has a beautiful woman who adds fragrance to Song Mingxun's red sleeves. This beautiful woman is not a human, but a goblin rescued by Song Mingxun, and he also knows the identity of this goblin. How to say it? The story between Song Mingxun and this vixen named Yulian is very similar to the plot of a Chinese ghost story. Song Mingxun was invited by his friends to visit other counties. On the way, he entered a dilapidated temple to take shelter from the rain and met a vixen who was forced by a powerful bad goblin to seduce a scholar and absorb the vitality of a living person. Song Mingxun was upright and was not deceived by the beauty. Instead, the fox spirit looked at him differently and confessed her identity, asking Song Mingxun to run away quickly. Although Song Mingxun ran away, he felt very sympathetic to the fox spirit who was kind-hearted but was controlled by the evil spirit and had to do evil. Song Mingxun was very lucky and met a demon hunter who passed by here, so he told the demon hunter about the demon in the temple. The demon hunter followed Song Mingxun to the temple, and then the demon hunter fought with the evil demon for 300 rounds, and finally eliminated the evil demon despite being injured. The demon hunter still wanted to get rid of the fox spirit, but Song Mingxun stood up to help the fox spirit and hoped that the demon hunter would let the fox spirit go. The demon hunter felt that although the fox spirit was forced to help the bad demon, she had practiced the evil method of absorbing men's essence after all. He was afraid that she could not stand the temptation of improving her strength and would do evil herself. The demon hunter must get rid of the fox spirit. He would not kill the fox spirit, but just abolish all the cultivation of the fox spirit and let her turn back into an ordinary fox. The fox spirit was naturally unwilling. She had fallen in love with Song Mingxun at this time, so she proposed that she could follow Song Mingxun and let Song Mingxun monitor her. If she did evil again, she would let Song Mingxun find another expert to get rid of her. Song Mingxun had a good impression of the fox spirit. The main reason was that the fox spirit looked very pure after turning into human form. She didn't look like a fairy at all, but more like a fairy. Confucius said, "Food and sex are human nature." How could Song Mingxun not be moved by such a beautiful fairy like a fairy? After listening to the fox spirit's proposal, Song Mingxun naturally nodded in agreement and assured the demon hunter that he would definitely look after the fox spirit. The demon hunter was also a fool. After hearing what Song Mingxun and the fox spirit said, he actually agreed to this idea. He didn't think that Song Mingxun was just a scholar, without magic power and martial arts value, how to restrain a demon. If the demon really had bad intentions, wouldn't the most dangerous person be the one guarding the demon? Moreover, as a professional, has he never thought that the demonic aura of goblins would be harmful to humans? Living with goblins for a long time, the human body will be eroded by the demonic aura and become weak, and even lose their lives. You know, the original owner was eroded by the demonic aura emitted by the fox spirit, and he died at a young age. Although his mother was better than a child, her body was also eroded by the demonic aura and was in ruins. If Su Qingni had not come to this world and had not fed Liu Rulan the elixir, Liu Rulan would have died within a month. Song Mingxun took the fox spirit home and made the fox spirit his maid. The fox spirit is beautiful, knowledgeable, and talented. Song Mingxun gradually fell in love with her and gradually fell in love with this fox spirit. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, The Father of Yishao Teo. When the vixen Yulian is with Song Mingxun, she will try to restrain her demonic aura. It seems that she knows that demonic aura can harm the human body, and she also has a way to restrain the demonic aura on her body. But when she is with Song Mingxun's wife and children, she releases her demonic aura without restraint, allowing the demonic aura to erode the bodies of both of them. Su Qingni easily saw through the vixen's thoughts. She wanted Song Mingxun's wife and son to die, and wanted to take the position of Song Mingxun's wife. Haha, monsters are monsters. Especially monsters that have harmed people. Don't expect them to restrain themselves and take human life seriously. Vixen has no concept of right and wrong, good and evil, and the reason why she behaves so well, so law-abiding, and so like a good demon is because of Song Mingxun. Song Mingxun wants her to be a good demon, so in front of Song Mingxun, she is just a kind and good demon. Su Qingni sneered. This vixen must be eliminated, just as revenge for the original owner. Liu Rulin is still in a coma. Su Qingni gave her medicine to replenish her body, but did not expel the evil spirit in her body, so as not to let the fox spirit notice it. Her current body was too weak to support her to use too much strength. She needed to practice as soon as possible to make her body stronger before taking action against the fox spirit. Su Qingni closed her eyes, randomly found a cultivation method, and began to practice. Because there were such people as the demon exorcist, the spiritual energy in this world was quite sufficient. Su Qingni quickly drew the energy into her body, and then practiced the first level of key training, the second level of key training. When Liu Rulin woke up, Su Qingni had already consolidated her cultivation at the third level of key training. Such a cultivation level naturally could not deal with the fox spirit. To deal with the fox spirit, one must have a cultivation level above the foundation building stage. If one wants to practice to the foundation building stage, it will take at least several months. Su Qingni couldn't wait, and Liu Rulin couldn't wait even more. The fox spirit found that Liu Rulin was still alive for several months, and would definitely think of other ways to deal with Liu Rulin. Su Qingni decided to wait until she reached the fifth level of key training before taking action against the fox spirit. Although her cultivation level was not as good as that of the vixen, she could secretly use other methods to attack the vixen and kill her. Liu Rulin opened her eyes and felt that her body was much more relaxed. She was no longer tired or weak. What happened to her? Liu Rulin blinked her eyes, and all her memories before she fainted came back to her. She was so shocked that she immediately raised her upper body and looked down at her son, who was pressed down by her to check if he was hurt by her. Su Qingni opened her eyes at the right time and called Mom sweetly. Here, are you feeling uncomfortable? Tell Mom quickly. Liu Rulin asked Su Qingni anxiously. She turned her son over and over, and even took off his clothes to check his body. She didn't find any injuries and was slightly relieved. Su Qingni blinked and said, Mom, I'm hungry. Hungry. That's right, the child said he was hungry before she fainted. I'll go get you some food. Liu Rulin quickly got up and went out. This time, her movements were very steady and quick, without any weakness. Su Qingni was not worried that Liu Rulin would be discovered to be abnormal by the vixen. The vixen accompanied Song Mingxun to attend the literary meeting today and was not at home. When she came back tomorrow, the evil spirit left and Liu Rulin's body would make Liu Rulin weak again. Alice, Liu Rulin would have to suffer for a while. After getting rid of the vixen, she would take action to completely cure Liu Rulin. Liu Rulin came in with a tray, on which was a small bowl of mushy white rice porridge and a small bowl of golden steamed cake. Just looking at it made people hungry. Su Qingni ate up the rice porridge and steamed cake with a spoon in Liu Rulin's hand. Her good appetite made Liu Rulin very happy. Since her son fell ill, he had not eaten much food every day except taking medicine. He ate so much at this meal, so his body should be much better. After dinner, it was not early. When Song Mingxun left home, he said that he would not come back at night, so Liu Rulin did not wait for him. She went to bed and lay down with her son. Su Qingni closed her eyes and pretended to sleep, but actually started practicing again. While practicing, Su Qingni heard a low sigh in her ear. Liu Rulin was not asleep. She must be thinking about Song Mingxun and the vixen, right? How could Liu Rulin, as his wife, not notice the affection between the vixen and Song Mingxun? She must be very sad. How could she not be sad that her husband, who originally belonged to her alone, was now snatched away by another woman? But she couldn't do anything to drive the vixen away. She was afraid that her husband would be more alienated from her. Now, Song Mingxun was happily enjoying the pleasure of being with a beautiful woman, but he had no idea how much suffering his wife was in. Su Qingni didn't open her eyes. She was just a little kid of 4 or 5 years old now. Even if she persuaded Liu Rulin would not listen to her. Su Qingni practiced hard, and she only improved one level in one night. It would take 2 more days to reach the next level of key training level 5. The next day, Su Qingni used her spiritual energy to make her appearance weaker and paler, but better than when she was possessed. Liu Rulin looked at her like this, and although she was still worried, she didn't look like the sky was falling like she did yesterday. Song Mingxun and the vixen returned home. Song Mingxun valued and loved his only son very much, and he also respected and loved his wife Liu Rulin, and did not love his wife less because he fell in love with a vixen. Therefore, when Song Mingxun returned home, the first thing he did was to visit his sick son and ask his wife about his son's health. Liu Rulin was in a much better mood than yesterday, and replied softly, "His health is better, and he can eat. I think he should be able to get better after a few more days of care." The vixen followed behind Song Mingxun. When he heard Liu Rulin's words, he sneered in his heart, released the demonic energy in his body, and pounced on Liu Rulin and the child on the bed. Su Qingni watched coldly as the demonic energy entered her body and was crushed by the spiritual energy in her body, and she felt even more disgusted with the vixen. Song Mingxun walked to the bed and sat down, and talked to Su Qingni for a while. Su Qingni imitated the original owner and asked and answered questions with Song Mingxun, and then pretended to be tired and weak. Song Mingxun stopped talking to her, stood up and asked Liu Rulin to take good care of Su Qingni, and left the room. Su Qingni pretended to be tired and lay down, and Liu Rulin came over to cover him with a quilt. Su Qingni pretended to be reluctant to leave her mother, took Liu Rulin's hand and acted coquettishly, outputting spiritual energy to dissolve some of the evil spirit in Liu Rulin's body. Su Qingni hurriedly practiced, and finally on the 3rd day after Song Mingxun and the vixen returned home, she practiced to the 5th level of key training. Chapter 359, The Father of Yishao Tao. When she reached the 5th level of key training, Su Qingni began to make arrangements. She had to get rid of the vixen quickly, because Liu Rulin's body couldn't hold on for long. The vixen said that she was forced by the bad demon to seduce and harm people, but she could only deceive ordinary people like Song Mingxun. Su Qingni could see the black karma of the vixen. If she hadn't harmed many people, she wouldn't have so much karma. If she was really forced to do evil, most of the karma would be counted on the bad demon, and the vixen wouldn't have so much karma. Her behavior could only mean that some people were harmed by her on her own initiative. There were not many means that could be used at the 5th level of key training, but it was still possible to draw talismans. After Su Qingni knew that there were monsters in this world, she smuggled some spirit stones and high-level materials for drawing talismans from her original body. She drew talismans at night while Liu Rulin was sleeping. Because there was not much spiritual energy in her body, she held a spirit stone in one hand and drew talismans with the other hand. It took 3 nights for Su Qingni to draw Sky Thunder Talisman and a set of 5 Forbidden Talismans. Su Qingni buried the Sealing Talisman near Song Mingxun's study, and Su Qingni quietly pasted the Thunder Talisman on one of the chairs in the study. The study where the vixen spent the longest time was Song Mingxun's. There were 2 chairs in the study, one next to the desk, which was naturally Song Mingxun's. The other 2 were originally for guests, and now the one near the desk has become the exclusive chair for the vixen. Su Qingni wanted her cheap father to see with his own eyes how the good goblin he thought was struck by lightning. How could a goblin that was not even liked by the sky be a good goblin? Let's see if he still likes the vixen, and if he still wants to have sex with her. That day, the vixen accompanied Song Mingxun in the study to read and write poems, and the atmosphere between the 2 became charming. Seeing that the vixen was about to jump into Song Mingxun's arms, Su Qingni, who was monitoring them with her spiritual sense, snorted lightly, pinched the hand seal, and activated the Sealing Talisman. The fox spirit's heart was full of charming, so how could she notice that the entire study was sealed off? She lay on Song Mingxun's shoulder and blew gently into his ear. Song Mingxun felt that the beauty's breath was as fragrant as orchid, and half of his body was almost numb. He had never felt this feeling on his wife before, and he couldn't help but feel itchy, and stretched out his hand to hug the fox spirit's body. At this moment, a thunderbolt came from the clear sky, and a bolt of lightning fell from the sky, smashing the roof of the study and hitting the fox spirit's body, splitting the fox spirit's skin and flesh. Screaming, and directly transformed into its original form in front of Song Mingxun. The thunder talisman can only attract a thunderbolt, but this thunderbolt was originally created by Su Qingni. The fox spirit has a lot of bad karma, but because of its low cultivation, it has not yet reached the height of being noticed by the heaven. Su Qingni's thunderbolt made the heaven notice that there is such a fox spirit with low cultivation, but a lot of bad karma. What are you waiting for? Then strike it quickly. So, the sky thunder talisman was consumed, but the thunder in the sky did not stop, and it struck down one after another, making the fox spirit scream continuously, but it was no longer a human voice, but the cry of a fox. Song Mingxun was frightened and stunned. Although he knew that Yulian was a fox spirit, Yulian had never transformed in front of him, and she had always been a pure beauty, so he was not afraid. But now he saw with his own eyes that a living person had changed, and a beautiful woman turned into a fox. This intuitive image shocked Song Mingxun and made him afraid. Song Mingxun retreated again and again, away from the fox spirit. He was afraid of the fox spirit, and worried about the thunder one after another, fearing that the thunder would strike him. But fortunately, the thunder had eyes and generally only struck the fox spirit, not involving other people. Song Mingxun was a little relieved. Looking at the fox and the lightning, he couldn't help but think of the term 5 thunders hitting the top of the head. It is said that only when you do extremely evil things will you be punished by heaven. 5 thunders hitting the top of the head. Yulian is now being hit by 5 thunders. Did she do something evil? But wasn't it the evil monster that forced her to do those evil things? Really? Was she really forced? Song Mingxun's face was changing, but the thunder in the sky had stopped falling. There was only a pile of burnt ashes on the ground, and the vixen didn't even have her body left. Dad, Dad! Su Qingni pretended to be scared and worried and rushed into the study. She was greatly relieved when she saw Song Mingxun. Liu Rulin followed Su Qingni into the door. She rushed to Song Mingxun's side and touched him all over. She asked more concernedly, "Husband, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Song Mingxun calmed down and saw his son squatting beside the pile of burnt ashes curiously, and stretched out his hand to the ashes. He hurriedly shouted, "Here, don't touch those ashes. Who knows if there is anything bad in those ashes? Will it cause harm to his son's body?" "Dad, there is a piece of paper in the black ashes." Su Qingni raised her head, looking like a child who said, "I have discovered something." Song Mingxun was puzzled. Yulian was struck by the thunder and turned into black ash. Her clothes and other things also turned into ash. How could there be a piece of paper left? Song Mingxun walked over with Liu Rulin's hand. He looked along Su Qingni's little hand and saw a piece of snow-white paper next to the black ash. Song Mingxun stopped Liu Rulin from reaching for the paper and picked it up himself. From this point of view, Song Mingxun attaches great importance to his wife and son. He is not a scumbag, but he was born in ancient times and his ideas are those of ancient men. The paper is snow-white and delicate. It is better than the paper used by scholars nowadays, and there is no such paper for sale in the world. There is a line of small black characters on the paper, which is smaller than a mosquito or a fly. Even with the smallest and thinnest brush, it is impossible to write such small characters. It seems that this paper and the characters are not ordinary things, so they can survive the thunder. Su Qingni chuckled, "That is ordinary printing paper, and the characters on it are also printed, with a size 6 font." He concentrated again to see what was written on it, and saw that it said, "Monster enters the house, and the home is in turmoil. Monster harms people, and the wife and son die." 16 words, written very simply and easily to understand. Song Mingxun broke out in a cold sweat after reading it, and was terrified. Before he brought Yulian back, his son was healthy, lively and cheerful, and his wife was in good health as well. But since Yulian came, Qingni has been ill, and almost died of illness some time ago. His wife's body has also become weak, and she can't even serve him. Now that Yulian has been struck into ashes by the thunder, his son can get out of bed and jump and run, and his wife looks much better. "It's all my fault, it's all my fault." Song Mingxun held his wife's hand with one hand and his son's hand with the other, with lingering fear. "Fortunately you are all fine." Chapter 360, Yi Xiao Teo's Father 4. Liu Rulin didn't understand and blinked. Her eyes fell on the pile of black ash on the ground, and then she saw the content written on the paper, and then thought about the thunderbolt before. Putting all the things together, the smart Liu Rulin sorted out the whole thing. Liu Rulin couldn't help but be scared. Thinking of her son who almost died some time ago, Liu Rulan pulled her son into her arms and hugged him tightly with one hand, fearing that she would lose her son. Seeing his wife's reaction, Song Mingsun felt guilty. If he hadn't believed the fairy's words and brought the fairy home, he wouldn't have almost harmed his wife and son. No wonder the demon exorcist said that the fairy was cunning and couldn't be trusted. He actually judged people by appearance? No, he judged the demon by appearance. Seeing that Yulian looked pure and looked like a woman from a decent family, he had a preconceived idea and believed her words. Maybe she had been deceiving him from the beginning, and in fact, she was in cahoots with a bad fairy. Song Mingsun no longer had any love for the vixen at this time, he only hated her. He almost lost his family and his descendants because of the vixen. Tomorrow, we will go to Yunzhao Temple to worship Buddha and ask the monks in the temple to help you and King. If there's still evil spirit left, please ask the monks to help you get rid of it. Song Mingsun said to Liu Rulan. Liu Rulan nodded hurriedly. Even if Song Mingsun didn't mention it, she would have mentioned it. Although the goblin was killed by the thunder, who knows what she did? She can ignore it, but her son can't ignore it. Her son is her life. Song Mingsun personally swept the pile of black ash and threw it out. He didn't let Liu Rulan and Su Qingni touch the black ash, thinking that he had the righteousness of Confucianism, and the evil spirits couldn't get close to him easily. When the goblin was still alive, the evil spirit couldn't hurt him. When the goblin was dead, it couldn't hurt him even more. On the contrary, his wife and son, a woman and a child, are easily eroded and harmed by evil spirits, so he resolutely refused to let them touch the black ash. His performance made Su Qingni's impression of him increase by 2 points. At night, Su Qingni took advantage of Liu Rulan's deep sleep to expel the evil spirit from her body, and fed Liu Rulan a pill to nourish her body. Liu Rulan got a blessing in disguise. She was injured when she gave birth to the original owner, and it was difficult for her to conceive afterwards. The original owner was 4 or 5 years old, and Liu Rulan had never been pregnant again. This time, Su Qingni's pill not only repaired her body damaged by the evil spirit, but also cured some of her previous hidden diseases. In other words, Liu Rulan's body is very suitable for conception. In this world, Su Qingni will definitely not get married. Not to mention that she is a woman's core and a man's shell, she will not get married even if she is a woman from the inside out. The next day, the family of 3 went out after breakfast. Liu Rulan is in good health, and she looks 4 or 5 years younger and radiant. She was good-looking, graceful and elegant, and she put on a little makeup when she went out, which made her look even more attractive, making Song Mingsun's eyes light up. He thought to himself that with such a lovely wife, why would he need someone else to accompany him? Thinking of this, his eyes showed it. Liu Rulan and Song Mingsun had been married for several years and knew him very well. Seeing his eyes, there was nothing unclear. Her face immediately flushed, and her eyes were full of affection. Song Mingsun was even more moved. He walked forward to support Liu Rulan and said softly, "Madam, you have suffered these days." Liu Rulan shook her head and said softly, "It's not hard. I am happy to be with my husband." The two of them stared at each other affectionately, and Su Qingni, the light bulb beside them, rolled her eyes fiercely. The two of them didn't even look at the environment around them. They were now at the gate, and there were other people around them. "Dad, Mom, can we set off?" Su Qingni had to speak up to break the charming atmosphere between the two. Song Mingsun and Liu Rulan woke up with a start, and they were a little embarrassed when they realized the environment they were in. Song Mingsun picked up the little kid, covered his blushing face, and carried the little kid to the carriage. "Okay, let's go now." Yunzhao Temple is located on a small island in the center of the lake. If pilgrims want to go to the temple to burn incense, they must take a boat to the island. The temple is very popular, and there are many people coming to burn incense, so there are many boats carrying passengers on the lake shore. There are many levels and types of boats, including painted boats for nobles, small and medium-sized boats for many people, and small black boats for a few people. Since Song Mingsun passed the imperial examination, his family has also had extra money. He didn't want to take the crowded passenger ship with the peddlers, so he only rented a black boat for the whole family. Song Mingsun gave the boatman $50 of silver and took care of the boat. After the family of 3 went to the temple to burn incense and met the monks inside, they took the boat to cruise the lake. The family of 3 entered the temple. Song Mingsun and Liu Rulan burned incense and worshipped Buddha, while Su Qingni pretended to be young and stood aside to watch. What was her identity? How could she kowtow to those clay statues? What's more, the original bodies of those statues were still her juniors in the prehistoric world. After burning incense, Song Mingxun asked the monk who knew the guests about the abbot of the temple and asked for an audience. The abbot would not easily meet people, but Song Mingxun told him that his family had been attacked by monsters, and the abbot had a good grace and allowed him to meet Song Mingxun and the other two. The abbot was a capable person and often did things to subdue monsters. After meeting the family of three, he knew that what Song Mingxun said was true. The abbot knew how to read faces and saw that Song Mingxun was prone to peach blossoms, and there was still a faint demonic aura on Song Mingxun's body. The demonic aura could not hurt Song Mingxun, so Su Qingni was too lazy to help him get rid of the demonic aura. As for the original face, the abbot could not see it with Su Qingni covering it up. In the eyes of the host, Su Qingni was just an ordinary child, and she didn't look like she would die young. The donor is blessed with great fortune, and the demon has been punished by the heavens. Now that the demon is gone, the donor's family no longer has to worry about their lives. The host chanted a Buddhist name and said. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin chanted Amitabha in unison after hearing this, and felt relieved. However, Song Mingxun thought that his son almost died, so he was still a little worried and pulled Su Qingni in front of him, and said to the host, "Hey, can you see if there is any demonic energy left on my son?" The host shook his head and said, "There is no demonic energy left on the little donor, but there is still a faint demonic energy left on you, the donor. However, these demonic energy will not harm the donor, and the demon has been killed, and this little demonic energy will dissipate in 2 or 3 days." Song Mingxun was completely relieved, thanked the host, donated 10 taels of silver to the temple, and left the temple with his wife and son. Back on the small black boat they rented, Liu Rulin took out the tea she had brought with her and used the small stove provided by the boatman to boil water to make tea for her husband. Chapter 361, The Father of Yixiao Teo. Liu Rulin planned to go boating on the lake after burning incense and worshipping Buddha. She prepared a lot of snacks, so that she could drink tea and eat snacks while boating on the lake, which was very comfortable. The boat was slowly wandering in the lake. There were many boats around, mostly black-sailed boats, and a few pleasure boats in between, all of which took advantage of the good time of the late spring and early summer to go boating on the lake. Song Mingxun drank the fragrant tea brewed by his wife, ate the delicious snacks made by his wife, and looked at his beautiful wife and lovely son, feeling very satisfied. He felt that even if there was a red-sleeved woman, it would not be as happy as the harmonious husband and wife and son around his knees at this moment. The breeze blew across the lake, brushing his cheeks, making people feel refreshed. Song Mingxun was inspired to write a poem, but was interrupted by a scream. The lady fell into the water, the lady fell into the water. Song Mingxun looked up and saw a pleasure boat 300 or 400 meters away, and the person who was calling was the person on the pleasure boat. Those people were wearing servants' clothes and looked like servants of a wealthy family. Looking into the lake, they saw a pink and white object floating in the water, being pushed towards them by the current, but it had already moved away from the pleasure boat. Song Mingxun was a kind-hearted man. When he saw someone in trouble, he immediately wanted to jump into the water to save them, but Su Qingni grabbed the hem of his clothes. "Dad, what are you going to do?" "Good son, let go of your hand. Dad is going to jump into the water to save people." Song Mingxun touched his son's little head and coaxed him softly. Su Qingni wanted to be a naughty child, so she naturally wouldn't listen. She just shook her head and said, "No, I don't want anyone else to be my mother." Song Mingxun was confused by this and couldn't help asking, "Your mother is here? Who else can be your mother?" Su Qingni snorted and pouted, "Dad, don't think I don't know anything because I'm young. If you go down to save people, you will have a blind date with that woman. Then you have to marry that woman for her reputation, and you won't want my mother. You have to change my mother for me." Song Mingxun was so angry that he laughed. "What blind date? That's a skin-to-skin contact. Go, why did I talk about this with you, kid? Don't worry, I don't want to change your mother." Having said that, Song Mingxun also stopped wanting to go into the water. His son was right. If he went into the water to save people, he would have skin-to-skin contact with a woman in the water. For the woman's reputation, he must be responsible for the woman. But he already had a wife. If he married someone else, what would happen to his wife? How could he do something to let his wife down? Song Mingxun stopped and looked around. In addition to the black sailboat that his family was riding on, there were many other small boats in the lake. Some people on the boats heard the call and asked the boatman to row to the woman who fell into the water. Even without him, the woman who fell into the water could be rescued. Sure enough, a black sailboat approached the woman who fell into the water. The man on the boat jumped into the water, carried the woman to the boat, and then climbed onto the boat. Just as he got on the boat, the pleasure boat had already rowed close to him. The people on the boat took the woman who fell into the water and the man who rescued her onto the pleasure boat. In this way, the people had been rescued, and Su Qingni was relieved and sat back in his original position. The family continued to cruise the lake. The three of them had a great time, mainly Su Qingni and Liu Rulan had a great time, and Su Qingni was just a light bulb and a soy sauce. Su Qingni was inspired to write several poems. Liu Rulan was also talented, and she also wrote a poem in response to Su Qingni's poems. The couple expressed their love through poetry and fed Su Qingni with dog food. When they returned home, Su Qingni was driven out of Liu Rulan's room by the couple. Su Qingni was very satisfied with this. She had long wanted to stop staying in Liu Rulan's room all day. Even cultivation had to be done carefully. Now that she had her own space, she would have more time to cultivate. Half a month later, Su Qingni went home and talked about gossip with Liu Rulan, and Su Qingni pricked up her ears to eavesdrop. "Rulan, do you still remember that someone fell into the water when we went to Yanzhou Temple?" "I remember." How could Liu Rulan not remember it? At that time, her son stopped her husband from saving people. Although it was a child's words, Liu Rulan felt that her son's actions at that time were absolutely right. If her husband really went into the water to save people, then the follow-up. "I remember that it was a young man who saved people, but that young man was going to marry the girl who fell into the water?" Liu Rulan asked. Su Qingni nodded, and said with lingering fear, "Fortunately King stopped me at that time." It turned out that the woman who fell into the water was the daughter of a local wealthy businessman, and the man who saved her was a scholar. Although he was not a Juran, he was a scholar. The man saved the girl, and the two had physical contact. For the sake of the girl's name, her family asked the scholar to marry the girl. But the scholar already had a fiancée, so he couldn't cancel the engagement and marry the girl of this family, right? So the rich businessman used money to make the scholar's clansmen and relatives agree that the scholar should marry his girl. The fiancée's family also canceled the engagement and quickly married the fiancé to a widower. The scholar married the girl, but the fiancé who married the widower was pitiful. This girl was the most innocent, but because of the money, her family married her to a widower who was a generation older than her. The widower already had a son and a daughter. How could she, the stepmother, live a good life? Su Qingni just felt that the means of the rich businessman were too despicable. His own daughter doesn't want to be wronged, so should he wrong the good girl of another family? Su Qingni couldn't help thinking that he was not stopped by his son at that time, but went into the water to save people. What would the rich businessman do to him in Rulan? He is married, will they force him to divorce his wife? The Yu family will definitely not bow to money like the family of the fiancé and sell out their own daughter. The rich businessman may use other dirty means to deal with the Yu family. Liu Rulan also thought of this. She raised her eyes and looked at Su Qingni. Both of them were frightened and glad that Su Qingni did not go into the water to save people. It seems that we have to see the situation clearly before saving people in the future. Su Qingni sighed. Liu Rulan nodded repeatedly. Her husband is the kindest. He brought harm to his family by saving the vixen before. What if he saves someone with evil intentions in the future? Would she and her son be in danger again? Now that her husband has such awareness, she doesn't have to worry about when there will be another woman in the family. Su Qingni listened to the conversation between the two, picked up the peach from the plate, put it in her mouth and took a bite. It was crispy, sweet, and delicious. She pinched out another peach blossom of her cheat father. Not bad, not bad. Su Qingni looked at her cheat father. By the way, why is her cheat father's fate so interesting? Isn't his peach blossom too prosperous? She pinched more than 2 of his peach blossoms, but his peach blossom luck didn't seem to decrease. Chapter 362, The Father of Yuzhao Teo. Summer is over, autumn is high and cool, just right for climbing mountains and admiring chrysanthemums. Su Qingni invited a few friends to climb the mountain, and when he came back, he brought back a pot of chrysanthemums. The chrysanthemums were given by friends. They were not particularly valuable, but they were extraordinary. They were a pot of agarwood beads. Su Qingni and Liu Rulan loved this pot of flowers very much. They placed the flowers not far outside their bedroom. They could enjoy this pot of agarwood beads by opening the bedroom window. Su Qingni laughed in her heart. What a peach blossom luck my cheat father has. How can he always attract goblins? It wasn't long since the fox spirit was dealt with, and now he has personally brought back a pot of flower goblins. Look at the rippling energy of this flower goblin. When my cheat father goes to see it, it blooms more gorgeously. When my mother goes to see it, it looks listless. If it didn't fancy her cheat father, Su Qingni would not take her cheat father's surname. Fortunately, this flower goblin is different from the fox spirit, and there is no evil karma on her body. Maybe it's because she just became a fairy and hasn't started to do evil, so she has no bad karma, or maybe she is not a bad fairy. The demonic energy emitted by the flower fairy is not much, and it will not harm Liu Rulan's body. Because of this, Su Qingni did not pull the chrysanthemum out of the flower pot and throw it into the stove to burn it. Su Qingni took a pair of scissors from Liu Rulan's sewing basket and came to Cheng Xiangguanzhu. Cheng Xiangguanzhu didn't take the little brat seriously and didn't move at all. Su Qingni snorted and laughed, raised the scissors, and cut a flower stem. Cheng Xiangguanzhu was shocked. What is this little brat going to do? Sure enough, the sisters were right. Children are the most annoying, and their destructive power is super strong. Cheng Xiangguanzhu used her magic power, and a small whirlwind rolled up around the flower, rushing towards Su Qingni's little face. Cheng Xiangguanzhu wanted to stun the child and pretend that the child was tired and fell asleep. This is the trick her sisters taught her to deal with naughty children. Little did he know that the child in front of him would turn his head and avoid the whirlwind. Chen Xiangguanzhu watched the child jump up and run to his sweetheart's study room, shouting, "Dad, Dad, come and see, there is another goblin in our house." What? Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan both rushed out. Song Mingxun caught his son and held him up, asking anxiously and concernedly, "King, where's the goblin?" Su Qingni stretched out her hand and pointed at Chen Xiangguanzhu. "Dad, that chrysanthemum is a goblin. Just now, I took a pair of small scissors and wanted to cut the flower to make tea, but a cyclone appeared next to the flower and hit me in the face. Fortunately, I dodged it." Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan were in no mood to blame their son for being naughty and wanting to use the precious chrysanthemum to make tea. They both looked at the Chen Xiangguanzhu with caution. Hearing his son say that flowers can actually generate cyclones to attack people, what else could it be but a goblin? Song Mingxun handed his son to Liu Rulan's arms, took the scissors from his son's hand, and walked towards Chen Xiangguanzhu with caution. This chrysanthemum demon should not have a high level of cultivation and weak attack power. As long as we avoid the cyclone and cut it off quickly, we should be able to kill this flower demon. Chen Xiangguanzhu was shocked to see Song Mingxun was determined to destroy it. In grief, he actually changed his shape. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan clearly saw a chrysanthemum turned into a beautiful woman in green clothes. The woman stared at Song Mingxun with tears in her eyes and said sadly, "Why? Why do you do this to me?" Song Mingxun was stunned for a moment, then reacted and said coldly, "You are a demon. But I haven't hurt anyone." Chen Xiangguanzhu said, "I like you and want to stay by your side. Is that not okay?" "No." Song Mingxun refused coldly. He had taken in a vixen before and almost killed his wife and son. How could he take in another demon now? Even if this demon really hadn't hurt anyone, he wouldn't keep it. Since you have transformed and can walk, then leave by yourself. Song Mingxun said, "If you refuse to leave, I will ask the monks of Yunzhao Temple to take you in." "Why are you so cruel to me?" Cheng Xiangguanzhu was shocked. Her lover treated her like this. The flower demon felt that her heart was about to break. Humans and demons are different. "Girl, you should leave." Liu Rulan spoke. She frowned slightly and had no good impression of the demon who coveted her husband. But her good upbringing prevented her from saying unpleasant words. "Shut up." The flower demon turned to Liu Rulan, and her expression became ferocious. The flower demon was jealous of the wife of her lover, so how could she have a good attitude? "It's all because of you. It's all because of you that the young master won't accept me." She deceived herself and selectively forgot that Song Mingxun was indifferent to her because she was a demon. She only thought that Song Mingxun didn't accept her because he had a wife. Her expression disgusted Song Mingxun, and Su Qingni also frowned. Su Qingni snorted and quietly threw out a heavenly thunder talisman. However, the flower demon did not do any evil, and Su Qingni would not kill her. She just threw the heavenly thunder talisman half a meter away from the flower demon, pinched her hand seal, and attracted the heavenly thunder. With a loud bang, the heavenly thunder fell and hit the side of the flower demon. Without the evil karma as a trigger, the heavenly thunder only fell once and then stopped. But just this one blow scared the flower demon silly, and she fell to the ground, shaking all over, and could no longer speak. Liu Rulan put Su Qingni down, put her hands together, and knelt down to kowtow to the sky. God helped them for the second time. We must thank God very much. Song Mingxun also knelt down to thank God. He threw all the words a gentleman does not talk about chaotic gods and a gentleman respects ghosts and gods and keeps them at a distance behind his head. This flower demon girl, you'd better leave. After thanking God, Liu Rulan stood up and said to the chrysanthemum demon confidently, the last time the vixen who coveted my husband and stayed in my house was struck by thunder and turned into ashes. If you don't want to follow in her footsteps, leave quickly. Compared with love and life, which is more important? Of course, it is life. After practicing and transforming, how could the chrysanthemum demon be willing to die? If the love here is gone, you can find love elsewhere. There are still many good men in the world. The chrysanthemum demon immediately made a decision. She climbed up from the ground tremblingly, picked up the flower pot where her body was planted, took a look at the family of 3, and turned away. It's terrible. Don't see this family again in the future, stay away from them. Monster sister. Su Qingni opened her mouth and shouted behind the flower demon, don't be a bad demon, otherwise God will strike you with thunder. No. No. She will never do anything to hurt people, she doesn't want to be struck by thunder again. Chapter 363, The Father of Easy Peach Blossoms. After the chrysanthemum demon left, Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan both breathed a sigh of relief. Song Mingxun was still in shock. I will never bring anything home again. Even flowers can become demons. Who knows what else will turn into fairies among the things brought back? Liu Rulan nodded, still in shock. It's been the second time. How can my family attract fairies like this? She glanced at her husband. Well, it's not her family that attracts fairies, but her husband who is liked by fairies. If she leaves her husband, she won't see monsters again, right? But how could she leave her husband? She loves him, and they have a lovely son. And Liu Rulan touched her belly, they have more than one child. Suddenly, there was a pain in her stomach, which made Liu Rulan pale and her beautiful eyebrows wrinkled. What's wrong? Seeing his wife's face change, Song Mingxun hurriedly supported her and asked with concern, are you scared? My stomach hurts so much? Liu Rulan moaned, husband, please call a doctor. Okay, I'll go and call a doctor right away. Song Mingxun picked up his wife and sent her back to the bed in the bedroom. He told Su Qingni to take care of Liu Rulan and quickly ran out of the house to find a doctor. Su Qingni walked to the bed, put her little hand on Liu Rulan's arm, and carefully injected a trace of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy flowed directly through other parts of Liu Rulan's body, protecting the baby in her belly and soothing the unformed embryo inside. Liu Rulan had a miscarriage because of fear. Now Su Qingni used spiritual energy to help her soothe the fetus, and Liu Rulan's stomach no longer hurt. However, Su Qingni injected very little spiritual energy and did not let Liu Rulan notice that there was an extra breath in her body. Naturally, she did not know what Su Qingni did. Feeling that her stomach pain was gone, Liu Rulan heaved a long sigh of relief. Just as she was about to get up, Song Mingxun had already returned with the doctor. There was a medicine shop not far from the Song family, where there was a doctor, so it didn't take Song Mingxun much time to go back and forth. Song Mingxun anxiously invited the doctor in. Even when he saw that Liu Rulan's complexion had recovered, he still worried that his wife had been secretly hurt by the flower demon. The doctor took Liu Rulan's pulse and congratulated Song Mingxun after a while. Song Mingxun was so happy that his mouth couldn't close. Liu Rulan was injured when she gave birth to Song King, and he naturally knew about this. He thought that he would only have Song King as a child in this life, but he didn't expect that there would be other children. It really gave him a big surprise. Song Mingxun happily sent the doctor away, and returned to the room to save Liu Rulan. Su Qingni rolled her eyes and walked out of the room, leaving the space for the couple. In the following days, Song Mingxun was like a big fool, without any of his previous gentleness and elegance. In order to prevent Liu Rulan from being tired, Song Mingxun hired a family of 3 to work at home. Among the 3, the father Zhang Fu was the doorkeeper and took care of the heavy work at home. The mother Zhang Daseo was responsible for the kitchen and some other chores, and the daughter Zhang Shuyi took care of Liu Rulin and Su Qingni personally. But Su Qingni didn't want anyone to get close to her, and rarely let Zhang Shuyi take care of her. Zhang Shuyi was only 12 or 13 years old, which was just the age of junior high school in modern times, but in ancient times, she had already fallen in love, and the object was her cheat father Song Mingxun. Zhang Shuyi was so eager for Song Mingxun. Whenever Song Mingxun was at home, Zhang Shuyi would behave more diligently, always finding excuses to stay by Song Mingxun's side, but rarely around Liu Rulin, who needed care. Her behavior was too obvious. Song Mingxun hired someone to take care of his pregnant wife, not to find a concubine for himself. Not only was Zhang Shuyi slacking off on her work, but she was also only pretty, not even 1/10 the size of a fox spirit or a flower demon, and her body was not well developed, like a shriveled bean sprout. How could Song Mingxun, who had seen many beauties, like her? Zhang Shuyi's behavior not only made her disliked by Song Mingxun, but also caused her parents to lose their jobs. Song Mingxun dismissed a family of 3. Zhang Fu and Zhang Daseo knew the reason, but they didn't dare to say anything more, and dragged their daughter away who wanted to stay. Isn't it embarrassing enough? Mr. Song's wife is so beautiful, virtuous and talented, and his daughter can't even read. How can she compare with her? It's normal for Mr. Song to look down on his daughter. If they leave quickly without knowing what's good for them and offend Mr. Song, do they still want to stay in the city? Su Qingni watched the Zhang family leave and pursed her teeth. The quality of this peach blossom is really poor. Song Mingxun invited another family to work at home, but this time he didn't invite a family with young girls. This time he hired a family of 4. Mrs. Song was in charge of the kitchen affairs, her son Li Shun was in charge of the doorman and the heavy work at home, his daughter-in-law Li Niangzi took care of Liu Rulin and Su Qingni, and her grandson Li Lu became Song Mingxun's book boy. This family is very honest and more responsible than the Zhang family. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin were very satisfied with them and thought of hiring them in the future. 3 months later, Liu Rulin was pregnant, and Song Mingxun occasionally took his wife and son out to relax. They didn't go far, just walked around the house to let his wife exercise a little. On this day, Song Mingxun walked out of the house with his wife, and his clever son would follow them without him saying it. Su Qingni, there is no way. Who told this cheap father to be too peach blossom? Who knows if he is not with them, will the cheap father attract some bad peach blossom again? Walking to the street, there are a lot of small stalls on the street, many of which sell snacks. Su Qingni smelled the aroma of food in the air, and the corners of her mouth began to secrete saliva. She blinked her big eyes and looked at Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin pitifully. The two could not hold on any longer, so Song Mingxun took out a few copper coins and gave them to Su Qingni. Su Qingni took the copper coins with a smile, ran to the fried cake stall, and asked the boss to make a fried dumpling for him. The fried dumplings had just come out of the pan, and the boiling oil outside was very hot. Su Qingni had to hold the 4 corners of the oil paper to let the dumplings cool down before eating. Little greedy cat. Song Mingxun poked Su Qingni's forehead with his finger in annoyance. Su Qingni stuck out her tongue and made a face at Song Mingxun. She turned her head to look in another direction and found a group of people gathered together to watch something. Is there a good show to watch? Su Qingni immediately ran in that direction with her short legs. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin were worried about their son, so they hurriedly followed Su Qingni and walked over. Su Qingni squeezed into the crowd, and after seeing what was inside, her interest dropped. Chapter 364, The Father of Yishao Teo. Boring. It turned out to be selling one's body to bury one's father, and it was a scam version of selling one's body to bury one's father. Su Qingni turned around and tried to get out of the crowd, but was caught by her own cheap father halfway through. Don't run around. Song Mingxun pulled his son's arm and warned. There are so many people here, what if there are human traffickers among them? Even if there are not, it would not be good for such a small child to be trampled and injured. Dad, let's go back. There's nothing to see. Su Qingni reached out and took the hem of Song Mingxun's clothes, pulling him out. Song Mingxun came here to catch his son, and he arranged his wife to wait outside the crowd. Now that his son has been found, he will naturally not squeeze in the crowd again. He was about to turn around and leave, but he heard the woman's voice. This young man, you look like a good person, please help me. Song Mingxun looked at the center of the crowd and saw the woman who sold her body to bury her father talking to him. Her eyes were shining, as if she saw a treasure. Song Mingxin. He had seen this kind of look many times, and many women looked at him with this kind of look. He couldn't help but feel a little tired. In the past, he might have enjoyed such a look, but after experiencing the female demon and the maid at home, Song Mingxin felt troubled when he saw such a look again. Song Mingxin did not answer the woman, turned around and was about to leave, but saw the woman coming over, with a pair of tearful eyes full of pleading, coupled with her graceful figure and white mourning clothes. People couldn't help but feel pity. This young man, I am also from a scholarly family. I don't want to entrust myself to others casually, even if I sell myself to bury my father. Young man is a scholar, so I am willing to follow you. Please help me. The woman's voice was very nice, like a yellow oriole. Hearing her words, all the onlookers suddenly understood. No wonder the woman's price was so high. No wonder the woman had to look at the person when choosing the buyer. It turns out that she is not a girl from an ordinary family, and she wants a scholar. Song Mingxin frowned slightly. If the woman's words were true, it would really make people sympathize. I can help him, but I don't want him. Song Mingxin opened his mouth and was about to tell his plan, but he saw his son's little arm swung, and the oil paper bag in his hand flew out. The fried dumplings inside flew out of the paper bag, and with a smack, they landed on the face of the deceased father of the prostitute. The hot oil on the fried dumplings was still very hot, and when it fell on the deceased father's face, several blisters immediately appeared. It's scalding me to death. The corpse on the ground couldn't stand it, and jumped up directly, shaking the fried dumplings off his face. The crowd of onlookers, Greek letter sigma, a Song Mingxin picked up his son and walked away from the crowd. The onlookers pointed at the woman and the corpse. The woman and the corpse saw that they were exposed and had no face to stay any longer, so they quickly separated from the crowd and fled. This was still a good show. It didn't take long for the news that the woman pretended to sell herself to bury her father to spread. The woman and her accomplices could no longer stay in the city, and left the city in disgrace. Su Qingni bent her chubby fingers and counted the peach blossoms that Song Mingxin passed by. A fox spirit, a woman who fell into the water, a flower demon, a servant, and a woman who sold herself to bury her father. Dad, there are 5 women who want to be my mother. Will there be more in the future? Su Qingni tilted her little head with a confused expression. Song Mingxin frowned and tapped Su Qingni's forehead with his bent fingers. You are a little devil. Who asked you to count this? Su Qingni held her forehead and said aggrievedly, I'm not afraid that you will be taken away by a bad woman one day, and I will be without a father. Don't worry, your father will not be taken away. Song Mingxin assured his son. He really doesn't want this kind of luck. The father and son came to Liu Rulan. Facing his wife's questioning eyes, Song Mingxin smiled and said, It's okay, it's just a farce. Liu Rulan smiled, without getting to the bottom of it, and took Song Mingxin's other hand that was not holding his son, and walked home together. After a 10-month pregnancy, Liu Rulan gave birth to another son. Song Mingxin was so happy that he named his second son Song Qingni. 2 years passed in a blink of an eye, and Song Mingxin decided to go to Beijing to participate in the imperial examination. In order to pass the imperial examination in one go, he did not participate in the last imperial examination, just to study for 3 more years and consolidate his knowledge. This time, Song Mingxin is confident that he can pass the imperial examination. After the joint examination, there is the palace examination, after which the official will be granted. The granting of official positions will not allow officials to return to their hometowns to serve as officials, so Song Mingxin decided to take his wife and son to the capital. After being granted the official position, the family went directly to the place where they were to be appointed. Song Mingxin asked the Li family about their wishes, and the Li family was unwilling to leave their hometown. Song Mingxin settled the wages with them and let them leave the Song family. The Li family was very grateful to Song Mingxin and Liu Rulan. Li Lu learned to read with Song Mingxin over the years, and it was easier for him to find a job. Before the Song family set off, he found a good job. Song Mingxin and his family set off with a caravan. The caravan had guards and hired bodyguards, so it was very safe along the way. The leader of the caravan heard that Song Mingxin was a Juran who went to Beijing to take the imperial examination, and wanted to make a good relationship, so he did not take the money from the Song family. With a caravan here, it is indeed very safe along the way. Well, except for the bandits who met on the road, the female leader of the bandits wanted to snatch the cheat father to be the husband of the bandit. Of course, Those bandits were overturned by Su Qingni's secret hands and feet, and were caught by the guards and bodyguards of the caravan and thrown into prison. On this day, the caravan missed the town and had to sleep in the wild. They found a dilapidated temple in the wilderness and everyone moved in. The temple is quite shabby, but the strange thing is that there is a mural on one wall of the temple that is extremely bright, as if it is new. The caravan members who have been walking outside for many years have seen many strange things and stay away from the murals. Everyone would rather live outside the hall than live in the hall. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin also thought the murals were weird, and they also chose to live outside the hall. However, Song Mingxun's peach blossom fate made him stared at by the non-human on the mural as soon as he entered the temple. Even if he did not enter the hall, the non-human inside would not let him go. In the middle of the night, Song Mingxun, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly stood up and staggered towards the hall. Su Qingni opened her eyes and grabbed her stepfather. The monsters were so bold. She didn't want to pay attention to them, but they dared to control her stepfather with dreams right under her nose. Humph, if you don't follow the rules at all, then don't exist. Su Qingni threw out a sealing talisman to seal the entire hall, and threw out a few thunder talismans. But she didn't activate the thunder talisman. It was the middle of the night and everyone was sleeping, so she didn't want to disturb everyone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365, The Father of Yuseo Teo. The next day, everyone got up and ate some dry food before getting up. The night was spent peacefully, and nothing happened. The experienced old people were still a little confused. How come nothing happened? But it was really great that nothing happened. Everyone did not stay any longer, packed up and left the temple. After walking 2 miles, they heard thunder in the sky, accompanied by lightning. After 3,927 lightning strikes, the temple where they rested had collapsed. The hall with murals was even more shattered, and the exquisite murals could no longer be preserved. The caravan stopped, and everyone kowtowed to the sky. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin and his wife also kowtowed to thank God. Song Mingxun was the most sincere, and he remembered his dream last night. In the dream, more than a dozen beautiful women appeared in front of him, introducing themselves as fairies from the Purple Spirit Fairyland. Because they admired Song Mingxun's character, they specially invited Song Mingxun to visit the Purple Spirit Fairyland. Song Mingxun had experienced the incidents of the fox spirit and the flower demon, so he didn't believe in these so-called fairies, and naturally he would not accept the invitation of the women, who knew that these fairies were shameless and actually touched him. Some pulled his hands, some pushed his back, and hugged him and left. He didn't want to, but he couldn't get rid of these women. He was about to be pulled out of his dream by these women. Suddenly, more than 10 golden chains appeared in the sky, each of which locked a woman, pulled them out of their dreams, and got himself out of the dangerous situation. When he got up early this morning, he just thought it was a dream. But when the thunder fell, Song Mingxun was sure that the woman in his dream last night was really a demon, and it might be the woman painted in the murals of the hall. After this experience, the caravan's itinerary was more planned. Every night, they rested in populated areas. If they encountered a mountain village, they would stay in the mountain village. If there was no mountain village, they would stay in the post station. After another 10 days of traveling, the caravan arrived at a place where there was no village or shop in front and behind, and they had to sleep outdoors. Everyone was in a bad mood. At this time, a sound of music came into everyone's ears. This was the music played at weddings. Everyone was refreshed when they heard it, and the music proved that there were people nearby. The caravan hurriedly sped up and headed in the direction of the sound. After walking only a mile, they saw a manor that looked quite large. Red silk was hung at the entrance of the manor, and a red wedding sedan was parked at the gate. A group of people were holding musical instruments and playing music. The gate opened, and 2 bridesmaids helped the bride in wedding clothes out. Behind the bride followed an old man with a white beard. The old man was dressed festively and seemed to be the owner of the manor. Behind him followed 8 or 9 young women who were also dressed festively. These young women were all beautiful, and the men in the caravan were almost dazzled. The old man sent the bride to the sedan chair, watched the people carrying the sedan chair away, wiped a tear, and looked in the direction of the caravan. There is a happy event in the family, and the guests are just here to meet. It is a coincidence. Why don't you come in and have a drink of wedding wine? The old man invited everyone. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, everyone had to find a place to rest. It would be better if they could rest in this manner. They could sleep on the bed, even if it was a wooden bed. It would be better than sleeping on the ground in the wild. What's more, they could have hot water and hot meals. Everyone happily accepted the old man's invitation and kept asking the old man for help, which made the old man so happy that his white beard curled up. According to the old man, his surname is Wang, and he has 18 beautiful daughters. 9 daughters have been married, and there are 9 waiting to be married. The one who is getting married today is the 9th daughter, and her husband is a little far from the manor. Everyone drank the wedding wine prepared by the Wang family and ate delicious food, and they didn't think there was anything wrong with what the old man said. Only Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan thought, since the son-in-law's home is far from the manor, why go out at dusk? Seeing that it was getting dark, should the bride walk at night? The bride walking at night. The couple shuddered together, looked at each other, and stretched out one hand to hold one of the other's hands. Their other hands tightly hugged their 2 sons. Su Qingni patted her stepfather's arm soothingly, without telling her stepfather and mother that although the Wang family was a goblin, it was not a bad goblin. They had no evil karma. Song Mingxun was so focused on guarding against the Wang family and protecting his wife and son that he did not notice that the Wang family girls looked at him with shining eyes. Several of the Wang family girls had thoughts about Song Mingxun. Su Qingni found out and just wanted to hold her forehead. The Wang family had no bad intentions towards the caravan members. They warmly entertained them for a wedding banquet and arranged comfortable accommodation for them, so that everyone in the caravan could sleep comfortably until dawn. The next day, the Wang family prepared a fairly rich breakfast for the caravan. Song Mingxun and his family were eating breakfast at a single table, specially arranged by the Wang family. Old Wang came over and sat opposite Song Mingxun. He smiled and said, "Mr. Song, I want to tell you something." Song Mingxun immediately became alert, but he looked calm on the surface and said politely, "What's the matter, father-in-law? I will try my best to do what I can do due to my limited ability. If I can't do it, please don't force me." Old Wang hurriedly said, "I will definitely do it." He coughed and said, "It's like this. My daughters fell in love with Mr. Song at first sight and all want to marry him. Whoever Mr. Song likes, you can choose her and I will marry her to him." Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan's faces turned black. This damn peach blossom luck. Song Mingxun cursed secretly and said to Old Man Wang, "Father, I already have a wife, it is impossible for me to marry again. Your daughter is a lady from a noble family, you should find another good wife." Old Man Wang said hurriedly, "If you don't want to be my wife, you can be my concubine." Song Mingxun shook his head even more. He didn't want such a woman who was offered to him. Who knows what kind of red-faced skeleton she is. Old Man Wang tempted, "My family will give my daughter 10,000 taels of gold as a dowry." Song Mingxun still refused. His attitude was very firm. Old Man Wang was puzzled. "Young master, you don't even want gold." Song Mingxun, "A gentleman loves money and gets it in a proper way." Old Man Wang asked again, "Then my daughters are not beautiful?" Song Mingxun, "Every girl in the Wang family is as beautiful as a flower." Old Man Wang, "Then why don't you want my daughter?" Song Mingxun was forced to no choice and said simply, "Humans and demons have different paths." Old Man Wang, "Well, people have seen the background of his family, and his daughter can't get married." Chapter 366, Yi Xiaotao's biological father. After breakfast, the caravan left Huangji as Huang. On the way, the young people were discussing the enthusiasm of the Wang family and the beauty of the Wang family girls. Some people heard that the Old Man Wang proposed to Song Mingxun but was rejected, and they were very sorry, saying that Song Mingxun had good luck but didn't know how to enjoy it. Song Mingxun, he, had nothing to say to these ignorant ruffians. But he didn't say it, other older people with rich life experience would say it. Such good luck is not easy to make a fuss. A coachman in his 40s said, "Do you know what kind of people are the Wang family?" "What kind of people?" The ruffians didn't understand. The coachman said, "Have you ever thought about which family marries their daughter at dusk? And the son-in-law's home is so far away from the mother's home. Are they letting the bride walk at night?" The ruffians felt something was wrong when they heard it. A bride who goes out at night. Isn't this a ghost bride? The ruffians shuddered together and looked at the coachman in fear. The coachman laughed twice. Don't worry, they are not ghosts. Then what are they? Asked a ruffian. The coachman said, their surname is Wang. Haven't you figured it out yet? Wang? Yellow Weasel. The young man shouted. The coachman nodded, yes, we met a legendary yellow weasel marrying his daughter yesterday. We are very lucky. Everyone. Is this not lucky enough? Is it lucky? Is it lucky? Everyone changed the subject and stopped talking about the matter of Huangji as Huang. There were no more strange and supernatural events on the way, and the group finally arrived in the capital. Song Mingxun's family separated from the caravan at the city gate. Song Mingxun first found an inn to settle his wife and sons. Then, through the introduction of the inn's waiter, he found a broker and asked a broker to help find a small courtyard to accommodate a family of 4. Although the Song family became rich after Song Mingxun passed the imperial examination, they had a weak foundation. Song Mingxun would not accept the benefits offered by others at will, so the Song family was not rich. The silver and money in the family were only enough for Song Mingxun to go to Beijing to take the exam, so they had to save money. Maybe he would go to the temple to stay overnight like other poor scholars. But now that Su Qingni is here, how can she let herself suffer? She took out a lot of money from the inner treasury of some corrupt officials and buried it under the big tree in the Song family yard. She pretended to dig an ant nest to expose a corner of the box of gold and silver. Then she found Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan. Song Mingxun dug out the box and saw the gold and silver inside. He was as happy as Liu Rulan. Since then, the living standard of the Song family has improved, and there is no need to worry about the money to go to Beijing. With money and confidence, Song Mingxun brought his wife and son to the capital. He also rented a small courtyard with a good environment and interior. The small courtyard is not big, but the rooms inside are enough for the family to live in, and there are even extra rooms as Song Mingxun's study and guest room. The neighbors around the small courtyard are all low-ranking officials in Beijing, not an area where all kinds of people live, so this area is very safe. Song Mingxun can also rest assured that his wife takes his younger son out and his older son goes out to run around. There was still more than a month before the imperial examination. After the family settled down, Song Mingxun never went out again and stayed in the study to study hard. Liu Rulan was the one who dealt with the neighbors. Liu Rulan's gentleness and the delicious food she made by herself won the favor of the neighbors for the Song family. After these wives of small officials knew that Liu Rulan's husband was a Juren who went to Beijing to take the imperial examination, they were all happy to make friends with her. It is said that after the imperial examination, Liu Rulan's husband will become a colleague of their husbands. Su Qingni would run out and wander around the capital every day. Liu Rulan had to take care of her youngest son and thought that her eldest son was just playing nearby. She didn't know that her eldest son's footprints had spread all over the capital. The capital is guarded by dragon energy. There are no goblins here, but there are still many interesting people. Su Qingni wandered in the streets and alleys every day, sneaked into the mansion where there were good plays, watched plays and listened to gossip, and had a lot of fun. Finally, a month passed, and Su Qingni also settled down. Because Song Mingxun entered the examination room, Liu Rulan missed her husband every day and was inevitably a little negligent in taking care of her son. Su Qingni helped and took care of her little brother. 9 days later, Song Mingxun left the examination room. He was very confident about this exam and was in a very good mood. Now he just had to wait for the result. Not long after, the results of the examination were announced, and Song Mingxun was indeed on the list, and he was among the top 10. Then came the palace examination. Song Mingxun performed normally, and because he was good-looking, he was selected by the emperor as the 3rd place. The Song family was full of guests. On this day, Liu Rulan received 2 unwelcome guests. These were 2 middle-aged women. They looked like servants of wealthy families, with arrogant attitudes. Facing Liu Rulan with a contemptuous expression, they directly asked Liu Rulan to leave. Liu Rulan couldn't help but laugh angrily. "Excuse me, who are you two? Are you the elders of the Song family? You actually want me to ask for my resignation?" The middle-aged woman in brown clothes snorted, "We are from the mansion of Princess Yongjia. The young princess in our mansion has taken a fancy to Song Mingxun and wants him to be her husband. If you are sensible, ask for your resignation, otherwise." The woman deliberately left it open and didn't say the rest. But it is precisely this that will make the threatened person imagine and make people afraid. Liu Rulan was naturally afraid, but even if her life was threatened, she would not give up her beloved husband. She is Mrs. Song, and she will be Mrs. Song even if she dies. Moreover, she doesn't believe that there is no law in the world, and the princess can cover the sky with one hand. I will not ask for my resignation. You either kill me or let my husband divorce me personally. But I believe in my husband. He is not an ungrateful person. Liu Rulan stared at the two women and said firmly, "Yes, Song will not let his wife down." Song Mingxin strode in and said, "Song will never abandon his wife. You too, Song is not worthy of the princess. Please leave." Song Mingxin rudely ordered the two women to leave. "It is your blessing to be favored by the princess. Don't be shameless." The woman in brown clothes said with a stern face. "Please." Song Mingxin said forcefully. The two women left angrily. The matter was not done successfully, and they wanted to go back to complain to the master. But a little Tan Hulang dared not to give face to the princess's mansion. The master will definitely give this person a good lesson. Su Qingni moved her fingers at the backs of the two people, and two bad luck charms were attached to them. After doing this, Su Qingni turned her head and looked at her cheat father. What a bad luck in love. Chapter 367, Yi Xiaotao's biological father's eye. Seeing that everyone had left, Liu Rulan was worried. "Husband, we have offended the princess's mansion. Will it be bad for you?" "Don't worry, it's okay." Song Mingxin comforted Liu Rulan. Although Princess Yangjia is a princess, her relationship with the current emperor is not very good. In addition to the honorable position of princess, Princess Yangjia does not have much power, and she cannot interfere in the affairs of the court. She can't do anything to me. Then, what about the son-in-law? Liu Rulan asked. Her worry was not much relieved. In this dynasty, the son-in-law can participate in politics and enter the court. Princess Yangjia's son-in-law was the top scholar 20 years ago. He has been in the court for more than 20 years. He must have his own power in the court. If he makes things difficult for his husband, how should the husband respond? The prince consort. Song Mingxin smiled. The prince consort and the princess don't have a good relationship. They have lived in the princess's mansion and the prince consort's mansion respectively for more than 10 years. Is that so? Liu Rulan blinked and said, but the princess is the prince consort's biological daughter after all. If we let the princess down like this, the prince consort will be angry with us for his daughter. This. Song Mingxin frowned. He heard that the prince consort and the princess mother and daughter didn't have a very good relationship. He thought that if he offended the princess mother and daughter, the prince consort would not embarrass him. But how could he forget that even if the prince consort and the princess didn't have a good relationship, the princess was the prince consort's biological daughter after all? Who knows, the prince consort might really do something to vent his anger for his daughter. Song Mingxin couldn't help but worry. Seeing her parents' worried look, Su Qingni pouted. Don't worry, it's just a small trouble, she will help them solve it. Su Qingni searched for information about the princess of Yangjia in her mind. She has obtained a lot of intelligence about the capital these days, but the information is very fragmentary. If she wants to find a person's complete information, she must sort it out. It's sorted out and can be checked. Princess Yangjia is the favorite daughter of the previous emperor, but her relationship with the current emperor is not good. Princess Yangjia supported another prince to compete for the throne. She had put a lot of obstacles in the way of the current emperor and framed the current emperor. Unexpectedly, the prince she supported was defeated by the current emperor. How could the current emperor be good to Princess Yangjia when he came to power? Princess Yangjia's status and treatment plummeted, but she was willful and used to bullying others. Her arrogant and domineering style made the emperor hate her even more. There were very few women in the court who were willing to make friends with her, but she often caused some trouble because she was a princess, which made the emperor hate her even more. Although those things were disgusting, they did not exceed the emperor's bottom line too much, and the son-in-law was very capable and was favored by the emperor. For the sake of his parents, the emperor did not punish Princess Yangjia. Princess Yangjia's husband was also snatched away by her. The husband originally had a wife, but after Princess Yangjia took a fancy to the husband's original wife accidentally fell into the water and died. Everyone knew about this strange death, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. Then the late emperor granted the marriage in time, and the husband had to marry Princess Yangjia. Because of the original wife, the husband and Princess Yangjia had an unharmonious relationship. After the marriage, Princess Yangjia had a quarrel that caused Princess Yangjia to give birth to a daughter prematurely. But Princess Yangjia also hurt her body and couldn't have children. The princess was very jealous. She didn't allow the husband to touch other women, not to mention concubines and even maids in the same room. This resulted in her parents being in their 40s now, but only having one daughter and no son to inherit the incense. I think the husband blamed the princess. For so many years, she has lived alone in the prince consort's mansion and has never set foot in the princess mansion. Su Qingni scratched her chin and felt that the fact that Princess Yangjia gave birth prematurely was suspicious. Was it really premature? You know, it takes at least half a year or even a year for a princess to get married, right? But since Princess Yangjia expressed her interest in the prince consort, the emperor issued an order to grant the marriage, and then the prince consort and the princess got married. It only took 2 months in total. As a princess who was favored by the previous emperor, she got married so hastily. If there was no trick, Su Qingni would twist Princess Yangjia's head off and kick it in the head. Su Qingni decided to visit the princess mansion at night. At night, Su Qingni pretended to be too tired and sleepy from playing during the day, and went back to her room and pretended to fall asleep. Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan were worried about the revenge of the prince consort and Princess Yangjia, so they didn't have any extra thoughts to pay attention to their eldest son. They were lucky enough to take good care of their younger son. Su Qingni easily slipped out of the house and sneaked into the princess mansion. The two women who showed off their power in the Song family during the day were miserable. The bad luck charm Su Qingni Song gave them made them unlucky all the way. They were lucky to be able to return to the princess's mansion alive, and they didn't even have the energy to report back. Princess Yangjia and her daughter did not get any rewards from the two people, but they didn't think that anyone would be unwilling to marry a noble princess, so when they heard other servants talking about the two people's bad luck, they didn't question them. They waited proudly for Liu Rulan to leave the house on her own, and waited for Song Mingxun to find a matchmaker to propose marriage. Su Qingni heard Princess Yangjia sigh to her daughter that if the late emperor was still alive, she would never give Liu Rulan the opportunity to leave the house on her own. She would have asked someone to get rid of Liu Rulan first, and then let the emperor grant the marriage. It's a pity that the one who ascended the throne was the current emperor. If she had known earlier, she would have given the emperor a dose of poison and poisoned him to death first. Hearing such poisonous and stupid words, Su Qingni really couldn't understand why the late emperor liked such a daughter. I don't know if there are people from the emperor in the princess's mansion. If the emperor heard this, I don't know if he would continue to tolerate this woman to live. Listening to the conversation between the mother and daughter, their topics were very scattered and there was not much useful information. After talking for a while, the princess said goodbye and left, and Princess Yangjia was ready to rest. When the breathing of the people watching the night became even, Su Qingni entered Princess Yangjia's bedroom, came to her bed and sat down, and pushed the princess hard. The princess was pushed awake, and she wanted to curse in dissatisfaction. When she opened her eyes, she met two deep whirlpools. Princess Yangjia. Yes. Is your daughter really born prematurely? No. Sure enough, the situation I analyzed was correct. Is your daughter the biological daughter of the prince consort? No. Haha, it's really not. The prince consort has been a cheat father for many years, wearing a straw-colored hat for 20 years, and he is so tired that he doesn't even have a biological child. Not to mention a son, he doesn't even have a daughter. It's really pitiful. Whose child is it? Chapter 368, Yi Xiao Teohu's biological father 12. Whose child is it? Su Qingni was very confused. Princess Yangjia chose her husband herself, so she should like him. How could she have sex with another man? Since she was pregnant with another man's child, why didn't she marry that man? Not to mention that the man had a wife or something, she could kill the husband's wife, so why couldn't she kill her lover's wife? She had the most powerful emperor as her backer. Princess Yangjia said a name. Su Qingni searched for information in her mind, and then she understood why Princess Yangjia couldn't marry that person. Zhuo Zuan said, men and women with the same surname will not have many children. The ancients required no marriage with the same surname, fearing that the people who were married were of the same clan and the children born would have problems. This is just like cousins can't get married now. Princess Yangjia's lover not only has the same surname as Princess Yangjia, but also the same clan. This one is also a member of the royal family, Princess Yangjia's distant cousin. The emperor naturally could not let Princess Yangjia marry her lover. This would be considered incest by others and would be despised by the world. For the sake of the royal family's face, the emperor strongly demanded that Princess Niangniang marry someone else. So, the son-in-law became the scapegoat. The son-in-law was chosen probably because he looked a lot like Princess Niangniang's lover. While marrying her son-in-law, Princess Niangniang secretly had an affair with her lover. Unfortunately, that person's life was short. He chose the wrong prince to followed a prince to have an affair, and died in the chaos of the army. Having satisfied her gossip heart, Su Qingni did not ask any more questions, left a hint in Princess Niangniang's mind, and turned to leave Princess Niangniang's bedroom. She came to the princess's room. This princess was as vicious and stupid as her mother. No, she was even more stupid than her mother. Her mother still had some brains, but this princess, who was spoiled by Princess Niangniang since childhood and had not received a proper education, could be said to have no brains at all, and was a lewd person. Although Princess Niangniang gave her husband a straw hat, she only had one lover. But this princess has not married yet, but she has already kept several male lovers, some of whom she robbed. These people have no power and influence, unlike Su Qingni who has the title of Tanhu. They have nothing except good looks, and can only become the princess's playthings. Su Qingni took out an enhanced version of the bad luck talisman and put it into the princess' body. Such a disgusting woman dares to covet her cheap father? Humph, giving her a bad luck talisman is a bargain for her. After leaving the princess's mansion, Su Qingni returned to her home, got into bed, closed her eyes, and went to sleep. The next day, Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan were both a little absent-minded, and Liu Rulan even cooked breakfast. Su Qingni asked Song Mingxun for some copper coins and went out to buy breakfast. The main purpose was to find out the news and bring the news home to reassure Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan. The enhanced version of the bad luck talisman, that power is hard to resist even for gods, let alone an ordinary woman. Is the princess still alive now? Although it was only one night, the news of Princess Niangniang's mansion has spread. The main reason is that Su Qingni did not use the thunder talisman this time, but got added drama to himself. A thunderbolt struck in the middle of the night, splitting the princess to a crisp on the outside and tender on the inside. In this world, in addition to demons and monsters, only evil people will be struck by thunder. Now the princess was struck by thunder? What does this show? Princess Niangniang issued a gag order, but not all the servants in her mansion obeyed her orders, and soon the news spread. Princess Niangniang was busy looking for a doctor to treat her daughter's injuries. When she turned around, the news that her daughter was struck by thunder had spread out of the princess's mansion, which made the princess furious and punished many servants. Unfortunately, the news had already spread, and her daughter's already bad reputation became even worse. At this time, Princess Niangniang was in no mood to force Song Mingxun and Liu Rulan. Su Qingni got the satisfactory news, bought some freshly fried dough sticks, bought a pot of soybean juice, and ran home happily. Dad, Mom, I heard a good news. Su Qingni ran to the table happily, put down the soybean juice and dough sticks, and ran to Song Mingxun, grinning. Dad, you and Mom don't have to worry. Stinky boy, do you know what we are worried about? Song Mingxun stretched out his finger and flicked his son's forehead in a bad mood. Dad, your son is so smart, how come I don't know what you and Mom are worried about? Su Qingni snorted while holding her head. I heard everything the two women said when they came to the house to find Mom yesterday. And I also heard what you and Mom said. Don't worry, what you are worried about will not happen. The culprit has no time and mood to trouble us. What do you mean? Song Mingxun asked immediately. Su Qingni smiled and said, I just went out to buy breakfast and heard everyone talking about a piece of news. Dad, guess what the news is? I won't guess, tell me quickly. Song Mingxun said unhappily. He didn't need to guess to know that the news must be related to Princess Niangniang and the princess. It's like this, the princess was struck by lightning while sleeping in her room last night. Princess Niangniang was in a hurry to find a doctor to treat her daughter, and she didn't have the mood to care about other things. Is it the thunder again? Song Mingxun found that the thunder seemed to take care of him. Any monster or evil person who went against him would be attacked by the thunder. Counting the princess this time, the thunder has helped him 4 times. Su Qingni shrank her neck. It seems that she can't use the thunder talisman anymore. But what talisman should she use? Su Qingni was thinking, but Song Mingxun stood up and walked out. I think you wanted to find out the news in person. Dad, you haven't had breakfast yet. Su Qingni called behind him. No more. Song Mingxun waved his hands. He was in no mood to eat breakfast now. Liu Rulin came out holding her youngest son and asked worriedly, "What's wrong? Why did your dad go out?" Su Qingni smiled at Liu Rulin. "Mom, don't worry, Dad just went out to get information." "Well, Dad doesn't want to eat breakfast, let's eat. My brother is hungry." Liu Rulin sighed, walked to the table, broke off half a fried dough stick for her youngest son to eat, but she was not in the mood to eat. Su Qingni comforted Liu Rulin and told her the news she had heard. Liu Rulin's eyes lit up. She put down her youngest son and ran to the yard to kneel down to the sky. "Thank God. Thank you, God." When she got up, Su Qingni handed a fried dough stick to Liu Rulin. "Mom, are you in the mood to eat?" Chapter 369, Yi Xiao Teo's biological father 13. Liu Rulin was still in no mood to eat. She paced outside the hall door, looking towards the gate from time to time, waiting for her husband to come back with news. Su Qingni took care of the younger brother and enlightened the child. The child was only 2 years old, but very smart. With Su Qingni's teaching, the child had learned hundreds of simple characters and could count from 1 to 100. It was almost noon. Song Mingxun had not come back yet, and Liu Rulin was in no mood to make lunch. Fortunately, there were still a lot of fried dough sticks and bean juice. Su Qingni heated up the bean juice, soaked the fried dough sticks, and fed her brother. Song Mingxun came back in the evening with a big smile on his face. Seeing this smile, Liu Rulin's heart was completely relieved. Liu Rulin welcomed her husband into the hall and stared at him eagerly. Song Mingxun laughed and told his wife the news he had inquired about. The news of the princess being struck by lightning reached the ears of the emperor and his husband. Although the emperor hated Princess Yongjia and her daughter, he still sent an imperial physician to the princess's mansion to treat the princess, and the husband also went to the princess's mansion to visit his daughter. When the husband-in-law brought the imperial physician into the princess's mansion, Princess Yongjia went crazy the moment she saw the husband-in-law, and loudly revealed the secret she had hidden for many years. It turns out that the princess is not the husband-in-law's daughter, but the child born from the incest between Princess Yongjia and her distant cousin. In order to let her daughter have a legitimate birth, she chose the husband-in-law to be the scapegoat. The husband-in-law's original wife was killed by the princess. When his original wife died, she was already pregnant with a boy in her belly. The husband-in-law was furious when he heard this. It turned out that he still had a son. But because of the vicious woman Princess Yongjia, he no longer had a son, and no one to carry on his family line. He has become a joke for the past few decades. After talking about the things targeting the husband-in-law, Princess Yongjia talked about other things. Each thing was not a small matter, and if they were exposed, Princess Yongjia would be cut into pieces. In order to help the prince she favored to ascend the throne, Princess Yongjia had repeatedly targeted the current emperor, who was still a prince, and tried to kill him. She sent someone to give the emperor's mount a mad drug. Fortunately, the eunuchs around the emperor fought hard to protect the master. The emperor was fine, but the eunuchs became disabled. Princess Yongjia tried to kill the emperor many times, but the emperor was lucky enough to avoid it. I think the emperor is the real son of destiny. In this world with demons and monsters, he is blessed by the dragon spirit. The emperor should have known what Princess Yongjia had done, but he couldn't clear Princess Yongjia according to the crime because he had no evidence. Now Princess Yongjia has personally told what she had done, and the emperor can take action against her without evidence and punish her. Not only did she attack the emperor, Princess Yongjia also gave the queen a sterilization drug because she was dissatisfied with the current queen being more beautiful than herself. The queen has not given birth for so many years because she suffered from the poisonous hands of Princess Yongjia. Not only the queen, many women who were stronger than Princess Yongjia had suffered from her murderous hands, but some women escaped and some did not. Liu Rulin was stunned and didn't know what to say. Princess Yongjia had done so many unforgivable things. Even if the emperor didn't kill her, the queen and those noble ladies who had been harmed by her would definitely not let her go. How is Princess Yongjia? Liu Rulin swallowed and asked. Song Mingxin smiled and replied, the emperor stripped her of her title of princess and threw her into the prison of the clan house. I think the princess won't live for a few days. If the emperor didn't want to keep Princess Yongjia so that the queen and other noble ladies could vent their resentment towards Princess Yongjia, the emperor would not let the princess live to see the next day's sun. What about the princess? Liu Rulin asked. Song Mingxun said, the emperor also took back her title of princess and drove her out of the princess's mansion. The prince consort was unwilling to take in his daughter. She was abandoned in a dilapidated temple and was injured. She probably won't live long. Liu Rulin felt that all the dark clouds above her head had dispersed, and she was in a cheerful mood. She stood up with a smile. I'll go make dinner, and we'll have a good meal to celebrate tonight. Song Mingxun took Liu Rulin's arm and said with a smile, since we are celebrating, let's go to the restaurant to celebrate. Why bother your wife with so much effort? Okay, let's go to the restaurant. Liu Rulin responded happily. Song Mingxun called his son loudly, King, take your brother, let's go out for dinner. Okay. Su Qingni responded happily, holding her brother's hand and walking to the hall. Liu Rulin stepped forward to hug her youngest son, then touched the eldest son's head, and said softly, good boy, thanks to you for helping your mother take care of your brother. Su Qingni grinned, Mom, this is my brother. Song Mingxun was a third-place winner in the imperial examination, and he was directly appointed to the Imperial Academy without being sent out. The family temporarily settled down in the capital. The news that Princess Yongjia wanted Song Mingxun to marry her daughter was spread by the servants in the princess's mansion. Others marveled at Song Mingxun's good luck, otherwise he would have gone to accompany the prince consort. The emperor also felt that Song Mingxun was a blessed man, and he had the idea of making use of him. The prince consort looked at Song Mingxun as if he saw his former self. He did not blame Song Mingxun for refusing the princess's marriage proposal, but took care of him everywhere. Song Mingxun can be said to have turned a disaster into a blessing, and he does not have to worry about his future. This poor prince consort divorced Princess Yongjia with the support of the emperor. The emperor felt sorry for the prince consort who had been deceived by Princess Yongjia for 20 years and had no biological blood of his own, so he arranged a marriage for him and gave him a senior maid in the palace as his wife. The maid became pregnant only 3 months after marrying the prince consort, and gave birth to a son 10 months later. The prince consort had a feeling that this son was the reincarnation of his child who had never been born, and he loved the child very much. Even though his wife later gave birth to 2 sons and 2 daughters, he still loved and valued his eldest son the most. Song Mingxun stayed in the Hanlin Academy for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, he was sent out to work not far from his hometown. Song Mingxun decided to take his wife and children back to his hometown to sweep the tombs of his parents and ancestors, burn incense, and worship their ancestors. Su Qingni is now 9 years old, and she is taught by Song Mingxun himself. Su Qingni has already learned the 4 books and 5 classics. Even if Su Qingni tries to hide it, the little things that are exposed still make Song Mingxun regard her as a genius among geniuses, and teach her son more attentively. This time when he returned to his hometown, in addition to worshipping his ancestors, Song Mingxun also asked Su Qingni to take the county examination and let his son pass the examination to get the title of scholar first. Chapter 370 Yi Xiao Teohua's biological father 14. A 9-year-old scholar. Just thinking about it makes Song Mingxun excited. Su Qingni rolled her eyes. Well, if his cheap father is happy and wants the honor brought by his son, then satisfy him. After returning to their hometown, Song Mingxun and his wife stayed at home to worship their ancestors, while Su Qingni took the buck boy specially hired by Song Mingxun to the county town to participate in the county examination. The county examination was easy to pass. Su Qingni won the top spot in the county examination at the age of 9, shocking many people. Then he directly participated in the academy examination and won the title of scholar with the top spot. When everyone knew that Su Qingni was Song Mingxun's son, they were surprised but not too shocked. The son of the 3rd-place winner, a tiger father will have a dog son. Su Qingni returned to his hometown with honor, and what he saw was his cheap father and mother with haggard faces. The dark blue under their eyes made them seem like 2 national treasures. Dad, Mom, what's wrong with you? Su Qingni asked in confusion, stepped forward to support Liu Rulin, who was about to fall, and helped her sit down on the chair. Your father is haunted by a ghost. Liu Rulin answered weakly, not happy that her son became a scholar. It seems that what happened during these days made it difficult for her and Song Mingxun. Haunted by a ghost. Su Qingni blinked. She prepared amulets for her parents and brothers. If anyone attacks her parents and brothers, the amulets will protect them. Su Qingni did not feel that the amulets had been activated, which means that the ghost had no ill will towards them. Think about her cheap father's bad luck in love. Mom, is that ghost a female ghost? Song Mingxun's face suddenly flushed, and he grabbed the fruit on the table and threw it at Su Qingni's head. Su Qingni raised her right hand, held the fruit with her palm upright, and said, "Dad, you are angry and embarrassed. Did I get it right?" Song Mingxun snorted coldly. Su Qingni put the fruit back on the table and said, "Can you tell me what's going on with that female ghost? What exactly does she want to do with my father? Is she trying to have sex with me? Or does she want to be my father's concubine?" Seeing the change in Song Mingxun's expression, Su Qingni understood, "So she wants to be my father's concubine." Song Mingxun said with a dark face, "How can I agree to such a request? Many real beauties wanted to be his concubines, but he didn't agree. How could he agree to a female ghost? Female ghosts are not even as good as female fairies. Female fairies have a physical body, but female ghosts don't even have a physical body. They are full of ghostly aura and scary to look at." Su Qingni asked, "Have you invited a master to collect the ghost?" "Yes. It's useless." Song Mingxun sighed. The female ghost's obsession was too deep, and even the abbot of Yunzhao Temple couldn't do anything about it. So he could only rely on heavenly thunder to help him. Thinking of this, Song Mingxun looked at his eldest son with a deep look in his eyes as if he knew everything. Su Qingni raised the corners of her lips and smiled at her stepfather. "Some things are known in the heart and do not need to be said." Song Mingxun snorted and took his wife's hand. "Let's go and catch up on some sleep. This time, I should be able to sleep well." Liu Rulin groaned. Her mind was a little fuzzy because she had not slept well. At this time, her head was also dizzy. She was pulled by Song Mingxun and followed him into the bedroom obediently. She did not think of her son who had just returned. After leaving the matter to his eldest son, Song Mingxun relaxed and fell asleep quickly. As usual, after falling asleep, a dream appeared. A woman appeared in his dream and was about to pester him as usual and let him marry her. Suddenly, a hand appeared out of thin air, grabbed the woman's neck, and pulled the woman out of Song Mingxun's dream. There was no woman to harass him anymore. Song Mingxun's dream sank into deep darkness with his thoughts. Song Mingxun slept even more deeply. Su Qingni grabbed the female ghost out of Song Mingxun's dream, threw it on the ground, and asked coldly, "Tell me, why do you keep pestering my father?" The female ghost who was thrown on the ground was a little stunned. Even the monks of Yunzhao Temple couldn't do anything to her. The boy in front of her actually caught her easily and pulled her out of Song Mingxun's dream? Exclamation mark. Expert. This is an expert. In front of the expert, the female ghost, who knew the current situation, honestly explained her origins and intentions. The female ghost was Song Mingxun's secret admirer before her death. She met Song Mingxun on the street and fell in love with him. Since then, she has been asking about Song Mingxun's news. The more she heard, the more she liked Song Mingxun. She wanted to be Song Mingxun's wife, which became her obsession. Unfortunately, Song Mingxun had already been engaged to Liu Rulin, and they were about to get married. The woman had a good family background, and her parents would never let her be Song Mingxun's concubine. The woman was disappointed and depressed, and finally died in despair on the day when Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin got married. After her death, she was unable to enter reincarnation because of her deep obsession, and wandered around Song Mingxun's hometown. Unfortunately, Song Mingxun had left his hometown at that time because of studying and imperial examinations. The female ghost couldn't see Song Mingxun, so she wandered here, day after day, and her strength increased a lot. This time, she finally waited for Song Mingxun to return to his hometown to worship his ancestors, and immediately pestered Song Mingxun, wanting Song Mingxun to hold her wedding with her and write her name into the Song family tree, even if it meant becoming Song Mingxun's concubine. As long as she could become Song Mingxun's woman, she would be able to get what she wanted, her obsession would dissipate, and she would enter the underworld to wait for reincarnation. However, she didn't expect Song Mingxun to be so stubborn. He would rather be pestered by her every night and would rather find a monk to save her than marry her. "My father will only have my mother as his wife, and he won't want other women." Su Qingni looked at the female ghost with disdain. "There are many people and monsters who have entangled my father. If my father wanted to marry, he would have married his wives and concubines long ago, so how could it be your turn? What's more, you look too ordinary, compared to those female monsters. You can even be said to be ugly. How could my father like you?" His vision has long been raised by the female monsters. The female ghost was hit hard. Su Qingni snorted lightly, directly opened the passage between the underworld and the human world, and kicked the female ghost into the underworld. You can't enter the underworld to reincarnate without getting rid of any obsession. When you get to the underworld, drink a bowl of the tenfold tonic soup cooked by Mengpo, which will ensure that you will have no obsession and reincarnate immediately. After driving away the female ghost, Su Qingni yawned, fell back, lay down on the bed, and went to sleep. The next day, Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin, who had a good sleep, woke up and recovered their spirits. Liu Rulin was now able to be happy about her eldest son's success in the exam, and began to prepare a celebration banquet for her son. Song Mingxun was in a good mood and patted his eldest son on the back of his head, smiling and praising him. "Good boy, you did a good job." Su Qingni blinked innocently, with an expression that said she had no idea what he was talking about. Chapter 371 Breaking Free from NP1. Su Qingni passed the imperial examination at the age of 12 and the imperial examination at the age of 15. The reputation of the genius spread throughout the world, and there were no fewer women who wanted to marry him than those who wanted to marry his cheat father. The matchmakers who came to the door almost flattened the threshold of the Song family. Liu Rulin carefully selected and wanted to choose the best daughter-in-law for her eldest son. Su Qingni found Song Mingxun, and after chatting with him, Song Mingxun stopped his wife from finding a daughter-in-law for his eldest son. Song Mingxun discovered that his eldest son was unusual early on, but his eldest son pretended to be stupid and didn't say it, so he pretended to be stupid too. The eldest son can exorcise demons and ghosts, and can make the thunder of the sky work for him. Song Mingxun felt that such an eldest son was no longer an ordinary person, and he would definitely not marry an ordinary woman as his wife casually. Sure enough, his son told him that he would not marry a wife. Song Mingxun was not surprised and agreed easily. Anyway, he has more than one son, but two sons, and the incense of the Song family will be continued by the other two sons. Su Qingni stayed in this world for 50 years. After sending Song Mingxun and Liu Rulin to the underworld, she left this world. After resting and adjusting in the Lich world for a while, Su Qingni traveled again. This time, she came to a world similar to the situation of Blue Star in the 21st century, separated a very small wisp of soul, and entered the world. Then, when she opened her eyes, she was a little confused. Well, she remembered that she chose a modern world to enter. Why was the surrounding environment so similar to the ancient times, and the person possessed was also wearing ancient costumes? Did she enter the filming side of a TV series or cosplay? Su Qingni was puzzled. However, the soul she entered this world this time was very small, and she did not carry too much power to enter, so she could not explore the information of this world. She could only learn about the current situation based on the memory of the original owner. Then, Su Qingni was even more confused. From the memory of the original body, she learned that she was not in modern times, but really in ancient times. The ancient times with rivers and lakes and heroes. The original body Su Qingming was the contemporary master of Baikao Valley and a famous doctor in the rivers and lakes. Baikao Valley is famous for its medical skills. The master of each generation will go out of the valley to practice and save people with medical skills in the year before accepting the position of the master. This is a test. Su Qingming is no exception. Not long after he left the valley, he saved a woman. This woman is very beautiful and lively, but her biggest feature is that she is shameless or thick-skinned. If she likes someone, she will stick to that person and pursue that person in various fresh and interesting ways until that person is sincere to her. Su Qingming has lived in Baikao Valley since he was a child and has not seen many people. The simple original owner was moved by this wave of operations by the woman and chased her. The original owner really fell in love with this girl named Qin Weiwei. Qin Weiwei accompanied Su Qingming to travel and treat patients. The feelings between the two became deeper and deeper. Su Qingming's feelings for Qin Weiwei have reached the point of no one can do without you. However, at this time, two men came over. The identities of these two men are not ordinary. One is Luo Honggang, the young master of Hongfeng Villa, one of the 5 major forces in the White World, and the other is Bidang Yunshen, the eldest disciple of the leader of the Underworld Alliance. Both of them are the best among the young people in the rivers and lakes, and they are both handsome and extraordinary. Their appearance is comparable to Su Qingming, and each has its own style. And from their mouths, Su Qingming learned that these two people were also Qin Weiwei's lovers. All 3 of them loved Qin Weiwei deeply and didn't want to leave Qin Weiwei. In the end, They reached an agreement that none of the three would withdraw and share Qin Wei together. Later, the team of 3 people increased to 6 people. The other 3 were Huang Fudaran, Prince Xiao Oyo, Duangfang Wen, the owner of Ziyashu Pavilion, a neutral force in the rivers and lakes, and also Qin Wei's master, Jia Shizhen, who was once a slave, was rescued by Qin Wei and has been with Qin Wei. He is Qin Wei's loyal dog. Each of the 6 people has a deep affection for Qin Wei, and for Qin Wei, they live together harmoniously. Seeing this, Su Qingni decided to go outside to vomit. It's so disgusting. When she was still immortal, Su Qingni hated to read stallion stories, especially female stallion stories. It was too much of a breakthrough. Although she was free to write, Su Qingni couldn't accept this kind of story. After she established a website for writing in the lich world, she specifically stipulated that she was not allowed to write stallion stories. I never thought that I would travel through a world and actually travel to the world of female stallion stories. She clenched her fists, thinking about how to kill Qin Wei, the female stallion. Finally, the disgusting feeling disappeared. Su Qingni continued to look through the memories of her original body. The original body didn't stay with Qin Wei and her group for too long because of the rules of Beikao Valley. She had to leave the beloved woman and return to Beikao Valley to hand in the task and accept the position of Valley Master. After accepting the position of Valley Master, the original body could not immediately go to Beikao Valley to find the beloved woman, and had to handle affairs in the valley. In this way, a year passed, and Su Qingming's almost obsessive love for Qin Wei became dull, and he was able to look at his feelings for Qin Wei calmly. After seeing this, Su Qingming found many unreasonable things. Su Qingming has a cold temperament. How could he easily give his feelings to a person, and even become extremely passionate? Su Qingming is arrogant. How could he be willing to share a woman with many men, lower his head in front of a woman, and live without dignity? Feeling abnormal, Su Qingming was horrified. He thought that he was so hot-headed and liked Qin Wei because he was poisoned by Qin Wei. Su Qingming carefully checked himself, but did not find the poison. Just when he was thinking about how Qin Wei controlled his feelings, Qin Wei came to Beikao Valley. After not seeing each other for a year, Qin Wei had 2 more lovers. One was Ruan Haokeng, the richest businessman in the world, and the other was Hong Xin Yi, a general who was famous all over the world and frightened by foreign races. Qin Wei was carried here by her lovers. This girl didn't know what powerful person she offended, and she was poisoned. Other doctors didn't even know what poison she was poisoned with, so it was impossible for them to detoxify her. Her lovers had no choice but to use precious medicine to boost Qin Wei's vitality, suppress the toxins in her body, and send her to Beikao Valley for treatment. After all, Beikao Valley is a holy place in the eyes of doctors all over the world, and the people in it are the best doctors among the best doctors. If anyone can save Qin Wei, it can only be Su Qingming from Beikao Valley. Su Qingming didn't want to save Qin Wei in his heart, but when he saw Qin Wei, he was no longer under his control and fell into deep love for Qin Wei, determined to save Qin Wei. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372 Breaking Free from NP Part 2. Su Qingming studied the poison in Qin Wei's body day and night, and was determined to save his beloved woman. For this, he risked his life and led part of the poison in Qin Wei's body to his own body. He used himself to study and verify the antidote. Su Qingming's medical skills were superb, and he really developed an antidote. However, the poison in his body suddenly broke out, and Su Qingming didn't have time to send the antidote to his beloved woman. He just fed one of the antidotes into his mouth and fainted. The antidote didn't work quickly. If Su Qingni hadn't possessed his body at this time, the power that entered in an instant suppressed the poison and promoted the effectiveness of the antidote. This body would have been destroyed by the poison, and Su Qingming would have died. However, Su Qingming was still hurt by the poison, so that his soul was sleeping in his body, and his body was now completely controlled by Su Qingni. After digesting Su Qingming's memory, Su Qingni's eyes fell on the antidote that had been made. She walked forward, picked up the antidote, and threw it into the stove where ointments and potions were boiled. The fire was stimulated and jumped up suddenly, burning all the antidote into ashes. Su Qingni patted the non-existent dust on her body, walked to the bed in the corner of the pharmacy for Su Qingming to take a short rest, sat down and lay down, closed her eyes, and did two things at the same time. While searching for a suitable practice method for this body from her vast memory, she thought about why modern society would become an ancient society. This world is like a world formed by a female stallion novel. Novel world, virtual world. Su Qingni thought about it. A faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. It's quite interesting. The world is inside the world, and the virtual world depends on the real world. There are many such worlds in the chaotic universe. Some novels, games, and even film and television works will form virtual worlds because of the power of sentient beings. They depend on the main world to exist, and the laws are not complete. Although they are called worlds, they are not real worlds. The characters in these worlds do not have real souls, so Su Qingni will not go to these virtual worlds. Even if the people in this world have their own consciousness and give birth to real souls, the projections of the underworld in these worlds can also withstand their reincarnation. Of course, if they want to reincarnate in other worlds, or even in the main world, they can do so. But it depends on chance. Many virtual worlds have been born around the prehistoric world and the witch and lich world. Occasionally, young witches and demons will go to the virtual world to play. But this virtual world is different from other virtual worlds. It feels more real. It is almost a real world. What is going on? Su Qingni doesn't think that too many people will like to read this kind of bloody female stallion article, which will gather the wishes of all living beings to form an extremely real virtual world. Su Qingni thinks that there are secrets in this world that are worth exploring. While practicing and thinking, I don't know how much time has passed. But the sky has turned white, and a night has passed. The door of the pharmacy was knocked loudly. Su Qingni frowned, got up slowly, walked to the door, and opened it. Outside the door was Luo Honggang, the most impatient man among the men. Seeing Su Qingni open the door, he asked, "Have you developed the antidote?" "No." Su Qingni imitated the original owner's anxious words, "Give me some more time, I will definitely be able to develop the antidote." "Then you hurry up and develop it." Seeing Su Qingni's appearance, Luo Honggang stopped disturbing him and left. Su Qingni closed the door, sat back on the bed, sorted out the original owner's memory of the relevant theories and experiences of this world's medicine, and easily mastered all the original owner's skills, even more deeply. She also understood what kind of poison Qin Weiwei was poisoned with. If Su Qingni was to prepare it, the antidote she prepared would be better than the one prepared by the original owner. This day passed while Su Qingni sorted out her medical knowledge and practiced. In order to show how much she was attentive and how much she forgot to eat and sleep to save her beloved woman, she didn't even touch the food brought by the servants. When Qin Weiwei's other men saw the servants bringing the cold food back to the kitchen, they all believed that Su Qingni was trying hard to find a way to detoxify. They didn't believe that Su Qingming would betray Qin Weiwei. Su Qingming must be like them, treating Qin Weiwei as the most important treasure, more precious than his own life. At night, Su Qingni slipped out of the room to find food, filled her stomach first, and prepared some dry food to put in the pharmacy. She would not kill Qin Weiwei, the woman who disgusted her, by herself, so she would just waste her time and kill her. Now the poison in Qin Weiwei's body has penetrated into her bones, and no matter how many precious medicines there are, they can't keep her alive. Sure enough, 3 days later, Qin Weiwei died. Su Qingni pretended to be in grief and refused, hating herself for being incompetent and unable to save her beloved woman. This look can be imitated by the men around them. They are sadder than their parents died, and they seem to die with them. Among them, there are really those who want to die with Qin Weiwei. Her loyal servant Jia Shizhen stabbed his chest with his sword. Fortunately, Su Qingni stopped him in time, and the tip of the sword was not inserted deeply and was taken away by Su Qingni. With the leader, others followed. Then Dongfang Wen and Bidang Yunsheng also took out their weapons, wanting to end their lives and follow Qin Weiwei. Su Qingni knocked down their weapons and knocked out 2 more people. She looked at the others with caution, fearing that they would also commit suicide for love. Fortunately, although the others were sad, they did not want to die. Especially Ruan Haokang and Hong Sin Yi, compared with the others, their grief did not seem to be particularly deep. Su Qingni rolled her eyes and understood. Ruan Haokang and Hong Sin Yi had known Qin Weiwei for the shortest time and were least affected by her, so although they were sad, they were not as desperate as the others. Jia Shizhen, Dongfang Wen and Bidang Yunsheng had known Qin Huiyi for the longest time and had the longest contact with her. Especially Jia Shizhen, as Qin Huiyi's personal guard, he had been with Qin Huiyi for longer than the other people combined, so he was naturally the most affected, so he was the most determined to die. Although Su Qingni's group saved Jia Shizhen, he might still seek death after he woke up. Before Qin Huiyi's influence on him disappeared, this person would not have the idea of living. Su Qingni was helpless. She could save them once, but she couldn't save them every time. When she couldn't see them, they might die. Su Qingni ordered the servants in the valley to give the three people a drug that would make them sleep, so that they could sleep for a while longer. Chapter 373 Breaking Free from NPIII. Su Qingni threw the three unconscious people into a room and asked the servants to feed them some liquid food every day to ensure that the three people would not die. Wait for a while before waking up the three people. If they still wanted to commit suicide at that time, Su Qingni would not stop them. Saving them once was already a great kindness, but it was just because the original body was in the same boat with them. She was not their parents, so how could she be responsible for their future lives? After settling the three people, Su Qingni went to the room where Qin Huiyi and several other men were staying. During the time she was away, several people had already discussed how to handle Qin Huiyi's funeral. The richest Ruan Haokang provided Qin Huiyi with 1,000-year-old cold jade to build a coffin to protect Qin Huiyi's body and keep it from decaying for 1,000 years. The other men used their power and manpower to build an underground palace for Qin Huiyi as a mausoleum. They would prepare rooms for themselves in the palace and stay in the underground palace for a period of time every year to accompany Qin Huiyi. When Luo Hongjiang asked Su Qingni if she wanted to help her decorate the room in the underground palace, Su Qingni was embarrassed. "You decide," Su Qingni said. "I just don't know if you will still be in the mood to decorate the room after the underground palace is built." According to the experience of the original body, Su Qingni got rid of Qin Huiyi's influence on him a month after leaving Qin Huiyi. So, I'm afraid that some of these men have gotten rid of Qin Huiyi's influence just after the construction of the underground palace. Will they continue to build the underground palace? Su Qingni laughed in her heart and decided to watch the joke on the side. If, as Su Qingni expected, a month later, several men have successively gotten rid of Qin Huiyi's influence on them. Needless to say, the faces of these people, some even vomited. Ruan Haokang directly split the coffin made of 1,000-year-old cold jade, and Huang Fudaran, who had the highest status, had an ugly face and asked people to burn Qin Huiyi's body and throw the ashes into the mud pond. Zhongxin Yi rushed back to the border directly. He decided not to return to the Central Plains in his life. This is his place of humiliation. Luo Hongjiang also returned to Hongfeng Villa. In less than 2 months, Su Qingni heard the news that Luo Hongjiang was getting married. The bride was his junior sister, who had been childhood sweethearts with him and had a very good relationship. The elders thought that the two would get married in the future. As a result, Luo Hongjiang went out and said that he had a beloved person. His attitude towards the junior sister changed drastically, breaking her heart. However, the junior sister was very infatuated with Luo Hongjiang. Even though Luo Hongjiang ran away after Qin Huiyi, the junior sister did not change her mind and found someone else to marry. She was always alone and her mind had not changed. After Luo Hongjiang got rid of Qin Huiyi's influence, he immediately returned to Hongfeng Villa just to find his junior sister and admit his mistakes to her. Of course, the junior sister forgave Luo Hongjiang, and she also believed that Luo Hongjiang was deceived by Qin Huiyi and fell in love with someone else. The two were afraid that the night would be long and dreamy, so they held their wedding immediately. Luo Hongjiang informed several other brothers in distress, but did not invite any of them to attend his wedding. They would only feel embarrassed when they met. Su Qingni calculated the time and woke up the three people who were in a coma. Jia Shizhen's injury had healed in this month, but he had only relied on liquid food to maintain his life in the past month, and the three of them had lost a lot of weight. Among the three people, Bidang Yunsheng completely got rid of Qin Huiyi's influence, thanked Su Qingni and left Beikao Valley. Dongfang Wen got rid of some of the influence, and he no longer had the intention to die, but he was very dissatisfied with Su Qingni for making them comatose for a month, and wanted to teach Su Qingni a lesson. Dongfang Wen's martial arts was the best among the men. Beikao Valley was famous for its medical skills, but its martial arts were not very high. His original martial arts could be regarded as the bottom among the men. Dong Fangwen thought it would be easy to teach Su Qingni a lesson, but he didn't know that Su Qingni worked hard to practice after she came, and her martial arts were more powerful than the world's top martial arts, and her strength was rising. A month was too short, and Su Qingni's strength didn't increase much, but it was enough to deal with Dong Fangwen. The two fought evenly. Su Qingni's current strength is still a little bit behind Dong Fangwen, but she still has various medicines and poisons with different effects. In the end, Dong Fangwen left Beikao Valley very unhappy. And Jia Shizhen, this person has completely lost himself. His life is almost all Qin Weiwei. Without Qin Weiwei, he has no motivation to live. So, Jia Shizhen still committed suicide. This time Su Qingni did not stop him. After the death, she asked the servants to bury the poor man well. Su Qingni told other people in the valley some things and left Beikao Valley behind. She wanted to go to other places in this world to see how this world is different from other virtual worlds. Su Qingni walked through mountains and rivers and met many people. She found that this world was not like a virtual world, but like a real world. The people in this world are not soulless beings condensed by willpower, they really exist in the soul. And the underworld in this world is not much different from the projection of the underworld in other real worlds. If Su Qingni hadn't looked inside the world before entering this world and knew that she had entered the modern world, she might really think that she had entered only such an ancient world this time. Such a real virtual world, let's just treat it as a real world. Thinking of this, Su Qingni found the extremely yin place in this world and buried a netherworld stone. He had to find a way to get out of this world and go to the outside world, where he also needed to bury the netherworld stone. Returning to Beikao Valley, Su Qingni found that someone was waiting for her in the valley. They were the brothers in distress of her original body, Bidang Yunshen, Huangfu Darren and Ruan Haokang. What do you want to see me for? Su Qingni sat opposite the three people and asked curiously. Huangfu Darren spoke, and what he said surprised Su Qingni. Did Qin Weiwei come to see you? Qin Weiwei? She's dead, why is she looking for me? Su Qingni narrowed her eyes. Perhaps, a way to leave this world has been found. Then Huangfu Darren said, she is not dead, but she has changed her appearance and came to us again. It turned out that not long ago, a very beautiful woman who was comparable to Qin Weiwei came to see the three of them separately. The three people felt moved after seeing this woman, and originally wanted to develop a new relationship with this woman. As a result, what the woman said frightened them, and the three men's obsession with the woman disappeared. The woman said that she was Qin Weiwei, and she couldn't let go of them after her death, so the gods helped her and let her be reborn to continue their relationship with them. Chapter 374 Breaking Free from NP4. They didn't really understand rebirth or anything like that. But this is clearly reincarnation. Ghosts attach themselves to other people's bodies and occupy other people's bodies. Thinking of this, several men felt cold all over. Thinking of the previous uncontrollable obsession with Qin Weiwei, and thinking of their heartbeats when they saw the woman before, the men were even more horrified. No matter how attractive the woman was to them, they would not be affected. There was still an impact, but they were wary in their hearts, so the impact was not great. When they turned their heads and didn't see the woman, the little impact disappeared. So the three men began to avoid Qin Weiwei, and then contacted several other people. The brothers wanted to find a way to deal with Qin Weiwei and make this woman disappear completely. The three men came to Su Qingming just to use Su Qingming's medical skills to deal with Qin Weiwei. It would be best if Su Qingming could make a medicine that would also harm people's souls. They didn't want Qin Weiwei to come to them in another shell. Why are there only three of you? Where are Dong Fangwen, Zhongxin Yi and Luo Honggang? Su Qingni asked. Huangfu Darren said with some envy, Zhongxin is at the border, which is far away and the environment there is not very good. Qin Weiwei is a woman who loves enjoyment and it is impossible for her to go to the border. Zhongxin is the safest one among us. Although Bidang Yuncheng and Luo Honggang belong to the black and white worlds respectively, because of this, they are more informed about each other's news than other people. He said, Luo Honggang has already married a wife. Qin Weiwei felt that Luo Honggang had betrayed her, and she disliked Luo Honggang for being dirty, so she didn't want him anymore. Ruan Haokang sneered, she is the dirtiest one, and she dislikes others for being dirty. Bidang Yuncheng told the news about Dong Fangwen again, he really loves Qin Weiwei, and he accepted Qin Weiwei's rebirth without any psychological barriers, and now he and Qin Weiwei are very close. Su Qingni was not surprised by this, and said, the two of them were together for too long, and Qin Weiwei had a deep influence on Dongfang Wen. Dongfang Wen seemed to have gotten rid of Qin Weiwei's influence on the surface, but he didn't. Look at Jia Shizhen, he was even more affected, and he chose to die without any hesitation. The three men thought of Jia Shizhen and shuddered together. Too scary. They didn't want to be like Jia Shizhen. Three pairs of eyes looked at Su Qingni expectantly. Do you have medicine to deal with Qin Weiwei's soul? There is no medicine for souls in this world, but there are medicines in other worlds, and Su Qingni can also mix them. No. Su Qingni didn't want Beikao Valley to become an existence feared by both the black and white worlds and the court. The three men were disappointed, their faces full of worry for themselves. Su Qingni said again, although there is no such medicine, I have a guess. What guess? The three men asked hurriedly. Su Qingni said, the art of rebirth can be said to be a divine art. I think it is not easy to perform. If you want to be reborn, I am afraid you will have to pay a huge price. Qin Weiwei can be reborn once, but she may not be able to be reborn a second time. I am afraid she can't pay the price of rebirth again. Even if she can be reborn again, she will not let it succeed. Qin Weiwei is the key to this world. She wants to study Qin Weiwei's soul carefully and take Qin Weiwei to the real world. So, Qin Weiwei should stop making trouble and be her research product. The three men thought about it and it made sense. So, the three people all had fierce killing intent, but in an instant, the killing intent disappeared. Bideng Yansheng said in frustration, no, once we see Qin Weiwei, we will be bewitched by her and won't be able to kill her. Huangfu Darren nodded, even if we send our men, they will be bewitched by Qin Weiwei and may betray us. Su Qingni looked at the three men as if they were fools. Qin Weiwei can only confuse men, won't you send female men? The three men. It's true. They were definitely bewitched by Qin Weiwei, and their IQs dropped when they encountered Qin Weiwei. The three people said in unison, I will arrange someone to deal with Qin Weiwei immediately. No need. Su Qingni stopped them. I think the next person Qin Weiwei is looking for is me. She should be here soon. Let's deal with her in Beikao Valley. The three people sat back after hearing this. They decided to stay in Beikao Valley temporarily and wait to see Su Qingni eliminate Qin Weiwei. Su Qingni arranged a place for them to live. She thought the three people would be bored, but the three people took out a deck of cards and played landlord. Needless to say, this must be Qin Weiwei who taught them to play. Half a month later, guests came to Beikao Valley again. Needless to say, it was Qin Weiwei and Dongfang Wen. In order to prevent others from suspecting, Su Qingni asked the female servants in the valley to entertain the two and drug them. Su Qingni asked someone to send Dongfang Wen back to his own forces. He told his subordinates that Dongfang Wen was bewitched by a female ghost and sucked away most of his essence, which made him unconscious. This state will last for 2 months. Dongfang Wen will wake up after 2 months. The owner of Beikao Valley sympathized with Dongfang Wen's experience and prepared a health pill for him. In the future, Dongfang Wen would take a pill every day and feed him some liquid food, so that Dongfang Wen would not starve to death due to coma. Dongfang Wen's subordinates accepted this statement without doubt. The main reason was that Qin Weiwei told everyone about her rebirth and happily greeted people she knew before. Everyone was very awed by ghosts and gods. In their eyes, Qin Weiwei was a female ghost, and they were afraid that Qin Weiwei would hurt them. His master didn't believe that female ghosts would harm people, so now he was poisoned by a female ghost, wasn't he? Dongfang Wen's men took over Dongfang Wen without any doubt and settled him down, taking care of Dongfang Wen according to Su Qingni's instructions. 2 months later, Dongfang Wen woke up, and when he heard Su Qingni's words from his men, he naturally didn't believe it. He understood that Su Qingni drugged him to deal with Qin Weiwei. Maybe Qin Weiwei died again? I wonder if she will be reborn after this time? Dongfang Wen didn't go to Su Qingni to avenge Qin Weiwei. In fact, he was grateful to Su Qingni in his heart. Even though he had a relationship with Qin Weiwei for several years, the feeling of being controlled by others was really too scary and unpleasant. He was confused by Qin Weiwei again this time because he neglected it. If Qin Weiwei could do it again, he would never be confused by this woman again. I think he is now a joke in the mouths of those men, right? Those men were not deceived, but he himself was deceived. Dongfang Wen locked himself up alone under the pretext of practicing in seclusion, and he would not appear in public for a long time. Chapter 375 Breaking Free from NP5 Qin Weiwei died in front of Huang Fudaran and the other two. The three men breathed a sigh of relief. Ruan Haokang was still worried and said, "Will she really not come back again?" Su Qingni shook her head. "I don't think so. She had already collected Qin Weiwei's soul, so of course she couldn't be reborn again." The three men left Beikao Valley, and Su Qingni stayed in the house alone in the name of retreat to study Qin Weiwei's soul. There are very few powers that can be used in this world, and Su Qingni can't use spells to study souls like in other worlds. In order to know the secrets of this virtual world and Qin Weiwei, she hypnotized Qin Weiwei's soul. From Qin Weiwei's oral account, Su Qingni knew that this world is really a game world, and it is a standalone game world. A standalone game world that belongs only to Qin Weiwei. It turns out that Qin Weiwei is just an ordinary-looking woman in reality who is not liked by men. Her biggest hobby is to read the NP texts of the heroine and imagine herself as the heroine in them. One day, Qin Weiwei followed the petty bourgeois romance of others and went to the suburbs to watch the meteor shower. As a result, she was hit by something falling from the sky. That thing was a game console from an unknown galaxy in outer space. Because it was far away from its home galaxy, some functions of the game console were damaged and it could not be connected to the internet, but most of the functions were still good and could be used. It is worthy of being a game console from outer space, much more advanced than the game consoles on the blue planet. It can bring a person's spiritual body into the game, just like the legendary holographic game. This game console is still new, and there are no developed games in it. If players want to play games, they can set the game type and game plot and background by themselves, and set the main NPC and the identity of the player. Qin Weiwei was overjoyed when she got the game console, so she used the female protagonist NP text she tried to write as the game background, and made a strategy type NP game. Then she entered the game to conquer one handsome man after another. Su Qingni's doubts were partially solved, but the bigger doubts were still not solved. Game console? Game console from an alien galaxy? Haha, it's not like she hasn't been to the interstellar world. The Earth has entered the interstellar world for many years, but it has no ability to create a real world. What is the problem? She decided to go to the real world with Qin Weiwei to find the answer. Anyway, she has buried the nether stone in this world. What should be done has been done. There is no problem leaving. The body can be returned to the original owner. Su Qingni grabbed Qin Weiwei's arm and ordered her to leave the game world. A white light flashed, Qin Weiwei's soul disappeared, and Su Qingming's body collapsed on the bed. After a long while, the person on the bed opened his eyelids. His eyes were hazy for a while, and then became clear, with gratitude in his eyes. Thanks to the person who occupied his body, he completely got rid of Qin Weiwei, the shameless and lewd woman. Some things cannot be known to the people in this world. Su Qingni blocked the information that this world is a game world and Su Qingming and others are just created NPCs. Su Qingni thought that Su Qingni was an immortal who came to deal with Qin Weiwei. After completing the mission and capturing Qin Weiwei, the immortal left. Qin Weiwei will not harm them again. Horizontal ellipsis. The camera turns to Su Qingni. She follows Qin Weiwei into the real world. She quickly puts away the game console and immediately finds a body that can accommodate her soul. As for Qin Weiwei, her only memory is that she and Dongfang went to Beikao Valley and was poisoned and fell unconscious after drinking a cup of tea. She only has the memory of Su Qingni extracting her soul and hypnotizing her. Qin Weiwei has none of them. Waking up in her own bed, Qin Weiwei thought that she was kicked out of the game world because of the death of the game character, and cursed the people of Beikao Valley in her heart. She didn't believe that the person who poisoned her was Su Qingming. She was very confident in her charm. She just thought that the servants of Beikao Valley didn't want their own valley master to be confused by her again, so they poisoned her. It's not that there are no such things. The subordinates of her other lovers have also attacked her. They are just some women who have a crush on her lover. Without her taking action, her lovers will deal with those women. Qin Weiwei believes that Su Qingming will also deal with the people who poisoned her and avenge her. But the person who did it was too abominable. I hadn't even met Su Qingming yet, and I had to change my identity to enter the game again. Changing identities would consume gold coins. I recharged all my savings into the game and exchanged them for gold coins, but it would allow me to change my identity 3 times. Now I've wasted 1 time, and my heart aches. Covering her chest, Qin Weiwei went to get the game console at the bedside. No matter how heartbroken she was, She had to enter the game, because the handsome man inside was waiting for her. But when she reached out, she didn't catch anything. Qin Weiwei turned her head suddenly and looked at the bedside table. No. No. Her game console was gone. Ah! Qin Weiwei screamed in despair. The game console that carried her beautiful dreams was gone. The game console that recharged all her savings was gone. She had nothing left. No handsome man. No more being pursued and pampered. Even the real money was gone. What should she do? Su Qingni didn't hear Qin Weiwei's desperate wail. Even if she heard it, she wouldn't care. What's there to despair about? People have to live in reality. No matter how beautiful the game world is, it is not a world where Qin Weiwei can live for a long time. If she is always immersed in the game world, will she still work? No job? Where can she get the money to support herself? Be a parasite? Haha, her parents are not young anymore, how long can she live on them? Now that Su Qingni has taken away the game console, Qin Weiwei has returned to normal life. She will work hard, get married and have children honestly. Although her life is uneventful, she can live a plain life until old age. If she still has the game console, she will be completely addicted to the game world and abandon reality. If she doesn't work and doesn't live well, how can she be well in reality? Maybe in the end, she can't distinguish between reality and illusion because of the influence of the game world, and she will be locked up as a lunatic. Or die early? In this way, Qin Weiwei should thank Su Qingni. Of course, Su Qingni doesn't need Qin Weiwei's thanks. She is now studying the game console in her hand. After disassembling the outer shell of the game console and seeing the raw materials used to make the main brain of the game console, Su Qingni finally understood why the game world had all the characteristics of the real world. With such a main brain, the game world would sooner or later grow into the real world. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.